Space is dropped on a new edition of Soccer Down Here. It's a Monday. It is a manic Monday in lots of parts of the football world. We've got a new leader in Brazil with one match to go. We had the Milan derby that did not go well for our friend Nick Alifi. We'll talk about that. We will talk about the U.S. women's national team who won over Brazil 2-0. Strong win for them. We'll talk about Canada's women's national team, who left it very, very late to beat Argentina, the plucky upstarts of the She Believes Cup. And we'll get into everything else that happened in England and in Spain and in Germany and in France and transfer rumors and all the other stuff. We'll get into all of that. We'll also try to figure out why John's microphone has decided to fight all of us today and be extremely low. Did you make it lower, John? Are we seriously going to play this game on the show? You have.
No, I have not touched it. Have not touched it. One bit thing, setting, device, nothing.
Can you hold the thing up closer to your face?
Yeah, I could hold the thing up closer to my face. I could do it like this. Do it old school, like in the 60s when the lavaliers were like this size. I could certainly do this. That's not an issue.
It's funny, John, because when you hold it closer to your face, we can actually hear you better.
That works. Yeah, really?
How do you do these things? I don't understand.
I feel like I need like a lanyard. Seriously, we could go like 60s old school with this and just have a lanyard that's attached to the microphone, and then the microphone just sits right here the entire time like it did.
See, Matt Wagner, I completely agree with you, and I asked him this question, and John responded to me like I was asking something trigonometry. It sounds like you're using your computer's mic or some other microphone, or something is turned down, because this makes no sense whatsoever. Everybody is saying you are not using that microphone and you should unplug it and replug it, and yes. Abby, I'm working on it. I'm trying not to blow everybody's audio out of their ears.
Well, then fine. I'll unplug it and replug it. How about that?
How about you do that?
All right. So unplug.
Jeez. Welcome to Soccer Down Here, y'all. This is what we do around here.
Replug.
You might want to speak more so we could actually try to hear you.
Well, it's
still garbage.
Of course it is.
I don't know how you manage these things.
I don't either. That's the thing.
And we could still hear you when you unplugged it. So again, like I'll ask you about 10 minutes ago.
Yes.
Why don't you go into your Skype settings?
Oh, my Skype settings. Okay, I could do that.
And make sure that the microphone coming through to me is what you need.
All right, well.
And I also gave you credit for holding the mic up closer to your face. I think you just spoke louder at that point.
No, I didn't really speak louder.
Or your Skype settings are down very low.
Probably.
Somehow.
That I couldn't.
Do you know how to do this?
It says audio and video settings.
Very good. What microphone is being used on Skype? 3TH, I tried that one too.
Well, now it's microphone USB P and P.
Is that the microphone you're supposed to be using?
Yeah.
Or is that your earpiece?
No, that is the USB P and P audio device is what I'm holding in my hand right now.
Is the level on it extremely low?
No. I can automatically adjust microphone settings, though, if that would help.
Why don't you turn the microphone away and speak for a second?
All right, I'm turning the microphone away.
Well, somehow it just actually got louder, which is very funny.
Wow, okay. That's odd, considering it's at 90 degrees.
Why don't you set it on the floor and speak?
Okay, I'll set it at my normal location, and I'll speak. How about that?
No, it's still garbage. Is the actual microphone volume turned up very loud?
Yes, it is maxed out. Maxed out.
I just wanted to share this with the world. because this is what
everybody what you go through on a daily basis.
Yes, this is what happens. This is I don't even know. How about you go into Skype and change the microphone back to the crappy one on your headset?
Okay, so more audio.
And Colonel, we will get to that breaking news here in just a second.
Realtek high definition audio.
Do you know what that is?
No.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's your laptop.
Okay, so is the laptop any worse?
It's garbage.
Yeah.
Thank you, Colonel. I'm glad that Steve Cooper can be heard well. It's at least Swansea is ahead of us in terms of quality.
Yeah, because that presser was supposed to have started 9 minutes ago.
Don't try to break news while you can't get a microphone to work, John.
Default communications device. I'm changing.
Wow, it actually just got kind of loud. What did you do?
Okay. I hit default communications device.
Well, it's still crappy, but it was better.
I'm going to just... I could mute off and scream, but that wouldn't necessarily...
We couldn't hear you if you screamed anyway.
Okay.
And now somehow my video...
I feel like I need to jump in here and figure out what's going on.
Yeah, and somehow you jumping in has changed my video because welcome to the show. Because all of you guys are trying to destroy me.
It's a long game, to be fair.
Yeah, and you're very low too, Jarrett, which makes me think that it might not even be John's fault, which makes no sense on anything on my end, but we will figure this out. No, John, you still have problems. Don't worry about that. All right.
It's just that we might both have problems.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on with this.
Good Monday morning.
Yeah,
How
seriously.
you doing?
No, it's not fun at all.
No.
No.
All right, hold that thought. Let's do this. Let's do this.
I've watched audio equipment go south on Jason before. It's an amazing experience because it gets really scary really quickly.
Yeah, you guys are super, super low, and there's no real explanation for it, so we're going to make it like this. Yeah, this is getting ridiculous, you guys. I apologize. This is the new content for the 3-hour show, DM Tim. You're dead on. All right. What else could it be? What else could it possibly be? That is not it. Could you guys continue to try to speak so we can figure this out? Tell jokes or something?
Sure. Jarrett, I mean, we could talk about Ross County and Celtic.
We can
if
talk
you
about
want.
Ross County. No, let's just talk about. No, don't worry about the second part of that. Let's talk about Ross County doing the thing that we like to see. I think we'd like to see more often in England, which is the team at the bottom of the table jumping up and snatching points from a top team to pull itself out of the relegation zone. Which we saw that more often.
Yeah. Well, and that reminds me, Captain Redbeard came in on the Twitters, and he said the worst thing in soccer is teams that define avoiding relegation as success. And we're seeing that with folks like Newcastle, and does that apply in the SPFL with anybody?
I was about to say, is this going to be a Steve Bruce decision?
Probably.
I mean, Ross County went out and played their game. They have more victories against top 6 teams in Scotland than Celtic does since September. So sometimes it's just a matter of they're not trying to unmake the spirit of the game, like Newcastle might at times.
Right. Yeah.
It's just they're not good. It doesn't have to be more complicated than that sometimes.
So what else happened in the SPFL this past weekend with you?
Oh man, I didn't watch a lot of it. I caught some of the game yesterday, laughed at it, and then went back to working on a piece about why San Jose and Atlanta only play blackout drunk games together.
Yes. Yes. What's the timeline on that being completed, sir? When should it be anticipated across the network?
Who knows? I don't know. Hopefully the next day or two, honestly.
Was something in your discovery about all of the San Jose Atlanta United drunk games that you had either forgotten or when it stumbled across your research, you were like, "Oh yeah." Was there a revelation in there?
The only one so far was the 2017 game. I'd forgotten about how egregious the two-footed tackle that went for a yellow card was. First half of that game, like maybe 15, 20 minutes in, San Jose is already up 1-0, and Yamil Assad gets tackled. And I forget who it is for San Jose, but leaves his feet and is basically just drops on his rear like Vince McMahon when he blew out both of his quads.
Yeah.
Trying to climb in the ring.
Right.
And the dude just like 2 feet up in the air, spikes up, both of them like right at Yamil Assad's legs. And I think he misses. He might have clipped him a little bit, but he didn't hit him straight on. He hit it straight on, probably would have broken his leg.
Yeah.
But clips his leg, skips over the ball. And just looking at it and creating a GIF of it for the article, it's like, I'd forgotten how egregious that was. That it somehow wasn't a straight red. And then the guy gets a yellow card, his second yellow, like 5 minutes later, something like that, when Yamil beats him off the, like he's playing off the ball and he makes a break towards goal and he pulls Yamil back and gets a red. And it was like, I still don't know how it wasn't a straight red. As far as other discoveries with that series, it's just the amount of cards is very interesting. There's also a late red in the 2017 game where somebody for San Jose gets sent off for stomping on Joseph Martinez's head almost.
Oh.
So, that one I'd forgotten. Just like, there's a second red that game? I think it's because we were all so drunk because of that game. But yeah, there will be a little more detail. It's just to explore, like, these teams have played 3 times, and 2019 was probably the most tame of those games. But there was still an instance, if you remember, where a San Jose player gets 2 yellow cards in the span of like 3 nanoseconds. Because what happens is Franco Escobar's on the ball. Franco gets tackled, and the ref rules it a yellow card tackle to take down Franco. And then whoever it was, because I'm looking at his face, and I can't remember who it was. Whoever it was takes down Franco, and then as he's going for the ball, steps on Escobar's leg. So it's a yellow for the takedown, and then it's a yellow for stomping on his leg. So it was not a straight red, and you can go back and look at the highlights from 2019. The ref doesn't give it as a straight red; he gives it as 2 yellows. So the guy got 2 yellows in the span of like less than half a second.
Okay, Jarrett, you sound good. John.
Yes.
That's very nice of you.
I still don't know why John is John. Because as Soccer Forget OG says, Jarrett always sounds a little low on a normal day. So he's about that now. Everybody is happy with you, Jarrett. They're very happy with your audio levels.
Okay, though they're happy for now. I'm going to fix that probably.
Yeah, please don't, because I just had to like jack the audio up like crazy.
It won't be the audio levels they're upset about.
John, put the microphone down.
All right, I'll put the microphone down.
It is very loud when you move it for some reason, but yes.
Probably because I was flicking the legs and putting the tripod back up.
Somehow that made it sound better.
Interesting.
Somehow moving the
microphone.
microphone.
Like the drums from the Soccer Over There theme when you were moving the legs. That's how loud it was.
Yeah, somehow moving the microphone has made it better. You sound good, according to Alex Pacine now.
Oh, okay.
Jarrett sounds louder than usual. I have jacked the audio up and tried to turn mine down. I know it's directional, Jason Nix. That's a big word for John and a microphone, so I don't think he's understood this.
Well, I thought that I had initially picked up a unidirectional microphone when I purchased it in the first place.
You don't want a unidirectional microphone, John.
Like one right at me.
Anyway. Don't touch anything, John.
Not
basically.
touching anything.
Okay. Am I okay?
Yeah.
Good is overly generous. That's fine. Those of you out there, I sound okay? Because it sounds a little weird in my ear because I've got them so jacked up. But if you can hear them and they sound good, then we will continue. We will figure it out. My audio went down. I turned it down a little bit to try not to blow everybody out, but let me turn it up just a bit.
There you go.
Is this okay? And I'm going to have to speak very, very quietly so I don't destroy everything, but I'm going to get excited about things, and then it's going to be a problem. So we will, I think we're okay here. I think we're pretty good. Jarrett, you still with us?
Yes, I am.
All right.
You get all that out of the way.
Here's what we're going to do. The base is dropped on a new edition of Soccer Down Here. It's a Monday. It's a manic Monday, if you couldn't tell. It's a very manic Monday. And we're going to talk about all the manicness of a Monday. We're going to talk about the Bengals. We're going to talk about 1981. It'll make sense later. Trust me. Maybe. Possibly. We're going to talk about Atlanta and Chattanooga playing a match in 1912. That happened, too, on this date in history. We're going to talk about Inter Milan taking the lead in Italy and maybe putting the league away, at least for a little bit. Does Juventus have a chance? Does anybody else have a chance? Does Milan still have a chance? We're going to talk about Brazil. We're going to talk about the She Believes Cup. We're going to talk about all of these different things. But we are going to start with not quite breaking news, but kind of breaking news. Jordan Morris, ACL, out for the rest of the season at Swansea, and probably out for the MLS season with the Seattle Sounders as well. No bueno at all. Is it the same knee that he has had?
Rose.
Yeah. Is it the same knee?
Thought it was the other knee.
I'm asking because I don't know. I was busy being an audio engineer for the first part of the show that didn't happen for anybody.
Because it was the right knee that he injured in Seattle, right?
I'm asking because I do not remember. I don't know which knee it is here.
I do not remember that.
Yes.
I think it's the other knee. I think it's the left knee this time. I think it's the other one.
I don't know if that's better or worse, but it's bad all the way around, and it's just awful luck. I mean, the Swansea element of it we'll come back to in a second because it wasn't a good weekend for them. Jordan Morris had one of the best years of his professional career last year for Seattle. He's just jumped to a whole nother level in his game, and this is the worst timing possible. It's awful for the U.S. men's national team as well because Jordan Morris would have been a big part of a 2021 calendar that will include World Cup qualifiers. He's going to have to fight his way back into the team when he's healthy. A CONCACAF Nations League semifinal and hopefully final. Maybe a Gold Cup for Jordan Morris. I mean, who knows? Maybe he would have been an overage player getting an opportunity in the Olympics. We don't know. Not going to get to find out now. It's just awful luck, and hopefully it is as run-of-the-mill as an ACL injury can go, and Morris is back as quickly as he can be sometime in that 6 to 12-month region because until they have the surgery, I think it's completely a guess on how long he's going to be out. This injury that has just happened is the left leg. 2018, correct, burned, was the right leg. Thanks, you guys. For having that as well, John and Jarrett. I mean, Jarrett, Jordan Morris, I think, took a huge jump in his game, and now that's all been put on hold. He's still young enough to come back from this, but so much of his game is explosiveness. We don't know, what kind of effects you're going to have lingering of it, but it's just awful timing.
It is, and like I said, it kind of has that Derrick Rose feel to me of a guy who is explosive. We'll see if he's as explosive afterward, but who just kept having these really horrible injuries that never seemed like, well, it's not like he's being wildly risky and doing dumb things. They just happen, and it's horrific, and it's no fair to anybody because you're right. He did take a jump, and Jordan Morris, I felt like for a couple of years was kind of like a meme, which I thought was wildly unfair to him because of how good he was, and then he got better, and now you're sitting at a situation where you're hoping he's as explosive when he comes back. Um, Everybody comes back differently from these sorts of injuries. He seemed to come back just fine from the last one. You just hope that he can come back just fine from this one as well, but you just kind of have to wait and see. And the last thing I want though is I don't want Jordan Morris to become a what might have been. I don't want another Charlie Davies. And granted, that's a completely different situation, a completely different set of horrific injuries that didn't happen on the field, but I don't want that to be the case where you're wondering what might have been.
Yeah, I would assume now you're not going to see that purchase option triggered. He'll go back to Seattle to start rehabilitation. Just awful for him, for the Sounders, for Swansea, for the U.S. men's national team, for fans of all of the above. I mean, John, from a Swansea perspective, your squad brought him in for a reason.
Yep.
And now you've lost him. What does this do for a Swansea team that had an awful loss on the weekend?
Yeah. Well, and they also had to play the final 25 minutes with 10 men because they'd already used all of their subs. But, you had the thoughts of IU and Lowe and Morris as that added element up top to get you, to get you some scoring punch. And so now where is that third individual? Who's the third man? Where's the third man going to come from? And so I think that's what Steve Cooper now has to. Is it Connor Hurahan? Is it going to be him stepping up as he has so far? Is there more of an emphasis on Connor going forward? So they were still trying to get Jordan, getting him fully fit to have him out there to be out there for full 90 minutes. But now you wonder who has to step up and take that blow, that responsibility now. And I think it goes to Connor Hurahan because he was brought in for that reason, and I think it's now amplified there.
Watford has now jumped Swansea. They're in third place, leading the playoff spots. Swansea's in fourth. They've got a nice cushion to not fall out of the playoff spots, but they're 1 point away from automatic promotion. They could have jumped into that spot with a win on the weekend because Brentford lost. Kind of crazy that out of the top 6 in the championship, 4 of them lost this weekend. The games have piled up. It's getting difficult for these groups, and you're seeing it. We'll keep you posted on Morris. It's probably going to be some time, though, before we get an answer as to how long it could be for him. I mean, it's the end of February. I'd say long-term would be, starting the 2022 season. There is a possibility he is back before that. We know the MLS season will end this year with MLS Cup in early December. If it's not as bad as they, I don't even know if they really know at this point. If it's not a bad issue and they're able to get the surgery done and everything goes well, and he is a physical freak, so if anybody can get back earlier, he's that kind of guy. Could he get back and actually play a part in MLS Cup? I doubt anything before that. So the one thing from a U.S. men's national team perspective, and this is where the timeline actually does get kind of important, and you're not going to necessarily just shut him down for next season if you're Greg Berhalter and you want to have this conversation with the Sounders and what it could look like. You've got qualifiers this time around in January, and that is very different, and that would be about 11 months. So that could open up the door if he is back at that point. The U.S. will play 3 qualifiers in January. Because of the way everything is shifted, he could play a role in those possibly if he's back. That's at that 11-month kind of timeline. So maybe not. There was a no contact injury. He landed awkwardly after receiving a pass. Thank you, Colonel. Greg Berhalter's going to be in touch with the Sounders medical personnel, including Jordan's father, who is the team doctor, about that, because if he can play a role in January, the U.S. might need him at that point. Those are going to be critical qualifiers where the U.S. plays a couple of teams that they should be able to handle, a couple of teams that are coming in through the play-in, and then they host Honduras, which is not an easy game at the end of that January window. So that will be, let's see, 3, 3, 8. Those are going to be critical games in this octagonal of 14 games. You're talking about games 9, 10, and 11. There could be a lot on the line in those matches. So Greg Berhalter is going to be hoping that Jordan Morris has a quick recovery. We'll just have to wait and see.
And Swansea is a part of that hashtag gaggle that's there, 2, 3, 4, all the way through 6. There's only 1 point separating. Brentford's actually lost 3 in a row. And Swansea had won 3 going into this match with Huddersfield. 2 matches in hand for Swansea when it comes to chasing after the automatic promotion spot, that they're only 1 point behind right now.
Interesting. Jarrett, you want to talk about your squad over in Scotland? We heard a little bit of it as we were working through that first part of the show that nobody really is going to remember. You don't want to talk about it?
What's there to talk about?
It's bad. There's not much to talk about.
There's not much.
Neil Lennon has said more stupid things. No shock.
I'm very happy that Rangers is carrying Scotland through the coefficient and playing fun games.
They are working on it, and Rangers is actually in the news as they have agreed to a deal for Orange County SC teenager Francis Jacobs, the youngest professional player in U.S. soccer history. Signed a pro deal at 14. He was younger than Freddie Adu when he signed it. He played with Rangers U16s in a tournament, and they are going to bring him over, according to the Athletic UK. I guess he has a British passport, I'm assuming, because I don't know how else they could pull this off.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll actually play their young American players instead of sitting them and letting them toil and then leaving to Red Bulls.
Let's not play him anytime soon. He's still a youngin'. Let's give him a little bit of time.
Yeah, but maybe when he's ready, he'll actually play.
Maybe in 4 or 5 years, or maybe 3 if he's very quick.
They'll loan him out to he'll play with the second team, then they'll probably loan him out to championship side, go to Greg Morton or Inverness, Caledonia Thistle, something like that. Go play at Hearts. Not that I wish that on anyone.
No, we don't want that.
No.
All right, one more.
In Scotland today.
What is this nonsense with a assistant referee who should have been in isolation but wasn't?
Oh, yeah. He should have been in isolation but wasn't. Apparently didn't report that he should have been in isolation.
That's a problem.
So, yeah.
That's not
Hibs,
good.
I know, was upset because he reffed the Hibs game, and I think they were playing Hamilton, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, they were.
Yeah, apparently he should have been in isolation. He officiated the game. They are all kinds of upset because the punishment, God forbid, look at the way that Scotland has dealt with players breaking protocol. Not just players trying to play after breaking protocol, but breaking protocol in general. They're going to want blood for a referee just being so negligent.
Yeah, they absolutely should. He was a close contact. Graham Stewart was the referee. He was a close contact of colleague David Room, who tested positive on Wednesday after returning from a game in Greece last weekend. They had worked together on Sunday's Athens derby in Greece, Olympiakos and Panathinaikos. Madden was withdrawn hours before kickoff from Celtic's Ross County match. And so they pulled one, but they didn't pull the other.
Yeah.
And now they all have to do 10 days of self-isolation, dated from Monday, February 15th, which is the last day of contact for those two, 16th for David. Yeah, he's probably not going to be reffing the rest of the season. Is that a safe assumption, Jarrett, with breaking these protocols?
I would assume that. I want to see when they actually pulled Madden versus, how this all went, because Celtic and Ross County played the late game. That was the 2:30 start time here yesterday, so that was the night game. Everyone else had already played. So if this was a matter of, oh, we didn't realize he shouldn't have been reffing, we're pulling him, and oh, Madden was associated with him in Greece, well, he can't do the Celtic game tonight because of reasons. So it's all dumb.
It's a little ridiculous. Yes.
Stop the league.
No, that's not going to happen.
Hey,
Jared.
Aberdeen got off the schneid. They got the 1-0 win.
They did.
Yeah, but they didn't get the 2-0.
They didn't.
No.
That was disappointing.
It was.
Aberdeen did finally score.
I'm glad they found goals.
Yes,
Yeah.
they finally got.
They found the goal.
They found a goal. That's a step in the right direction.
It is a step in the right direction. It is a start, and you will take it and run with it right now. Jarrett, let's get into. Did you have a chance to watch She Believes Cup? I guess not. He just ran away. Welcome,
yeah, I did.
Welcome to Monday. Okay, there you go. Cool. 2-0 win over Brazil. You had the 1-0 win over Canada, where I thought Canada played really, really well. You've had a bunch of different players play. 15 different starters, 14 field players, plus Alyssa Nair, the goalkeeper, who I think is established as the number one pretty solidly. You've got Sam Mewis out. You've got Tobin Heath out. Kelly O'Hara hasn't played. You would expect that she is potentially a starter here, too. That's 17 field players. The Olympic roster is 18 players total. You're taking 2 goalkeepers. 16 field players are going to go. Out of the players who, including Heath, Mewis, and O'Hara, who have not started in this tournament, but you would expect are, somebody who has started in the tournament plus one of those 3 is not going to the Olympics. That's not even getting into Christy Mewis, Sophia Smith, Casey Kruger, Allie Krieger, Ashlyn Harris, who could all be part of this roster. This is going to be a really difficult decision for Vlatko Andonovski because they're winning games. They're not dominant at the moment, but he's got to make a tough call on what that roster looks like because of the numbers game. Is there anybody who, in She Believes, Jarrett, that you think has improved their stock the most?
I'm not sure about with this in terms of improving their stock the most. I'm trying to think who else would have been. I guess the one that sticks out to me is actually going back to the Challenge Cup last year's Christy Mewis.
Yeah.
And even what she's done now is I want to see more from her. Put 2 Mewises on the field at the same time and see if we can unmake reality.
Pair them up in the midfield.
Have your Mewy.
I'm eternally going to want to live in a parallel universe where Crystal Dunn is actually allowed to play her best position for most of her pro career in the international stage.
I like that universe.
Don't know that we'll ever get there, but she still is playing quote unquote out of position and making stupid, amazing plays left and right and locking players down that she has no right to be locking down. I think that's the one that every time I watch this team, I think back, I'm like, what have Crystal done but in her actual best position?
Yeah, then one of those attackers would be out. And I don't know.
I know. And it's
I don't know.
It's a Rubik's Cube. Because you're not wrong.
It's the tough thing of
who
being
do you take out.
Right. It's the tough thing of being a national team manager because you're not working with these players day in, day out on the training pitch, so you're starting to make decisions in that way like a club manager would. You have to go off of form to a degree. And look, Christy Mewis, since the Challenge Cup last year, has been outstanding. And she's finally healthy. And she had a series of injuries that derailed her career. I mean, she's a U.S. Youth International. She was breaking into the national team and then had knee injuries and just couldn't get back to top form, bounced around clubs, got to Houston, found the right fit, found the right club, found the right players around her, and she's in a great run of form. Can she continue that through the Olympics? If she does, she should be there, in my opinion. But then who do you leave out? You're not going to leave out of this midfield Haran, Lavelle, Ertz, if they're all healthy. Christy Mewis would
No,
be
that's-
coming off the bench. Sam Mewis might be coming off the bench, and I would find a way for Sam Mewis to play. This is what's so difficult about this.
It is patently absurd that you have Haran, Ertz, and Lavelle all at the same time, all in similar age for a national team. Like, you would hope to get one or two of those in a cycle if you're a national team. And you got three of them? Nah, that's not fair. That's just dumb that you can have that in the midfield. I don't know what you do about, balancing out the people up top in the attack too. I saw someone mention the other day that imagine if you didn't have the attacking depth that you had, what Kristen Press could have been if she was consistently starting for the national team for most of her career, instead of you're having to split time and be a depth piece at times.
Well, and Kristen Press in her last 28 games she's been active in 27 goals. She's got 12 goals and 15 assists in her last 28 appearances for the national team.
Yeah, that's just silly.
And, Jarrett, you're talking about the attack, and they were talking about Carly Lloyd possibly not being a part of this team based on this performance out of this last match. I mean, Soccer America gave her a 4 for her appearance, last time out. And they're saying that because of stuff like this, people were looking at her appearance yesterday and saying, oh, well, I don't know if Carly Lloyd's going to be a part of this roster.
Are you upset about that?
It's just with her veteran presence, and I mean, I thought that she hasn't played her way out of this roster.
Somebody has. Like that. That's the thing is with the players who are not there, plus the players who are there and have played. Like literally, somebody has played their way out of the roster because you can't take them all.
Right.
So who is that person? If it's Carly Lloyd, I'm not fighting it because it's got to be somebody, and she hasn't been impressive. Veteran presence, you got veterans. I mean, with this team, you have Julie Ertz on the field, you're not worried about presence.
No.
So the question in
the only argument I could make,
go ahead, Jared.
I could make for somebody like her or Rapinoe, depending on how that's going to shake out on the wings, is having somebody who we need something at the end of the game, and we've got an ace in the hole, but your roster is small.
Yeah.
You don't have 22 spots to play with where you can keep a howitzer sitting on the bench that you hope won't misfire if you put it out there for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So the question on the Twitch pitch was, who is a lock at this point? So 18 players, Alyssa Nair, and a number 2 goalkeeper. We don't know who that'll be just yet. You could go around and around about it. We'll leave that to the side. But that's 2 spots. So then 16. I think your locks are Sauerbrunn, Dahlkemper, Dunn in the back. So that's 13 spots left.
Yeah.
Ertz, Haran, Sam Mewis, Lavelle. That's 4 more that I think are locks. So that's 9 spots.
9 spots left.
9 total.
Press, Rapinoe, I think are locks.
Yeah.
That's 2 more, so that's 7 spots left.
Yeah.
Your question marks, Tobin Heath, I think if she is healthy, she is there, so let's assume that she is. So that's 6 spots. I am with, I think, Vlatko on this, and I agree with Bernd. Like, Vlatko loves Lynn Williams. I think Lynn Williams gives you a lot that no other forward in this group does. She is wasteful at times.
Paul Millsap.
She's wasteful. No, it's not even
is,
that. That's not even it anymore because she gets a lot of opportunities. She's that forward that drives people crazy because she does so much right so often that she gets so many opportunities and she doesn't score all of them. And if she did, she'd be putting up 5-goal games. I think you take Williams at a minimum as a player off the bench. I think Williams is there.
Yeah.
So what does that take me down to as you've been writing on your legal pad? 5?
Yep.
I think Alex Morgan is there.
Yeah.
So that's 4. Now I need outside backs. Outside of Dunn. Kelly O'Hara, you got to see play. I don't know if she's a lock at this point. Emily Sonnet played on the outside here. I think she's better suited to play as a center back, but in this kind of roster where you are limited by personnel, you need somebody who can play both and cover multiple positions. So I think Sonnet goes. So are we down to 2?
Are you including O'Hara, yes or no?
Not yet.
Okay, so that's 3.
I got 3 left. I think Macario goes.
Yes.
You can't leave her out right now. So that's 2.
That's 2.
And then we've got 2 spots, and we're deciding between Christy Mewis, Carly Lloyd, Kelly O'Hara.
Mm-hmm.
Sophia Smith, I think, is going to be left out of this. You need another outside back out of those 2, and it would probably have to be O'Hara at the moment unless somebody else pops up. Casey Kruger could be that one, Burned, and I think she's there if O'Hara isn't. I don't know if both go. But you've got cover at midfield and up top with this, with what we've picked so far. You're going to have 16 field players available for every game. That's 5 on the bench, or 6 on the bench, field players, and you've got to have some people who can play multiple spots. Mitch Purse. Thank you. I knew there was somebody I was leaving out. Mitch Purse, who I would put ahead of Kruger and ahead of O'Hara. So let's put Purse in there.
Okay. So you got 1. You got 4 for 1 spot.
Yeah, 4 for 1 spot, and that's not including anybody who emerges in NWSL this season. That's not including anybody else like Alana Cook, who is playing in France. That's tough. That's really, really tough. I mean, you know, what happens if Shea Groom starts the season on fire like she did? Burned, I know she's not. I know Mitch Purse is not ready as a right back, but I'm not blown away by Sonnet or O'Hara because we haven't seen O'Hara in this or anybody else in that role at the moment. I agree with you that outside back's the issue. That's one that maybe emerges early in the season in NWSL. You need one to pop up. You do. Kelly O'Hara, great player. She's had problems staying healthy here for a while, and you've got to have a plan B just in case. That's the hard thing about it is with such a small number, we went 15. We've still got 4, not including any wild cards. And I'm not necessarily thrilled with a couple of those last picks on that they're definites. I think you're probably out of that 15 we went through, 8, 9 are locks.
Imagine how much annoying this would be if Mallory Pugh was in form.
Mallory Pugh is one because if she hits the ground running, she could be there. I think the attacking spot's going to be more difficult. I think it's the outside backs where if somebody has a lights out start to the NWSL season, they could play their way in.
Right.
And that's where it feels like it's the biggest opening. That's why Mitch Purse is playing right back, because nobody has made that spot their own. Sonnet's a converted center back. The other thing, and this is the hard decision for somebody like Vlatko because they're winning. You know, he hasn't lost a game. Do you change the shape to deal with what you're playing with? And I could easily see a scenario where you went 3-5-2 with this, which would take away an attacking player, kind of. I think Purse would be much better suited to play as a wing back. I think Crystal Dunn would be an amazing wing back in that scenario.
I was about to say that'd be terrifying.
That's great. Julie Ertz drops to the back line, I think, in that scenario, and she can step up and step into the midfield to make it a line of 4 when needed. Then Sam Mewis can play as that holding midfielder if needed as well. So if you go 3 in the back with Ertz dropping, Mewis playing in a midfield three, Sam Mewis, with Haran and with Lavelle, with potentially that opens up a spot maybe for Christy Mewis. That could get very interesting. Or you're dropping somebody into that kind of role. We've seen Carly Lloyd play as a 10 before. Does that maybe give her a new lease on life with this group? Could you see somebody like Kristen Press or Tobin Heath who have played wide? Could they come in and play as a 10 behind two forwards? Morgan would be one of those forwards, and or Rapinoe dropping in and play as a 10? Rapinoe's got the game to play as a 10. It might take some of the running off of her at her age. It might protect her a little bit more if she's got Haran and Sam Mewis doing the running for her behind. A 3-5-2 that is uber attacking could be the way to go. You could go 3-4-3 with it if you want to keep a front three. Like, I'm wondering if maybe three in the back might be the way to go, and just dropping Ertz to the back line. That's all. Maybe that makes it better at those outside back positions and they turn into wing backs.
And, as I'm sitting here and looking at all these numbers, and going forward, I'm looking forward to the NWSL season now because I want to see if there's anybody that makes that statement to want to try to play themselves into this rotation. You mentioned folks like Pugh and Shea Groom as two that we saw last season.
Yeah, but, John, I think the problem with those two is they're in crowded position groups. The problem is the outside back conundrum where you need somebody to play their way in, and they haven't for years.
Right.
Like, if Mallory Pugh or Shea Groom or anybody who's an attacker, say Jess McDonald starts the season scoring goals for fun, then it's even more complicated in that side of it. Yes, that'd be great, but that's we want it less complicated. We don't want it more complicated. It's wild. It's going to be interesting to watch to see what he does. And if you are, and Jarrett, I'm possibly talking to you, if you have a young potential soccer playing daughter out there and you are looking for the fastest path into the U.S. women's national team, outside back. Outside back, right now, if you have a 12-year-old who is very, very good, outside back. You need right backs, you need left backs in this pool.
I had my heart set on, lying 8 who has tendencies of a destroyer and willing to pick up cards.
What about being the next Crystal Dunn?
Mine might be too tall for that.
She could be a taller Crystal Dunn.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's wrong with being
a
tall?
rampaging tall outside back?
I was thinking more of a younger version of Maria Fellaini.
That's
wow,
insulting, possibly.
I was going to say now. I assume Ivy has better hair than Marouane Fellaini.
He's got pretty good hair, John.
He has amazing hair.
Yeah.
You just shut your mouth.
Yeah, seriously, man, what's up with that?
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, you're right though. Man, outside back is kind of where it's at.
Well,
So,
Nick is already claiming the Duchess is going to play for Italy. She could play wherever she wanted to play for Italy, Nick. You don't have to worry about positions.
I have no dual national here.
I was going to say
the closest thing we could have gotten was French national, but we missed that boat. So
Thomas Jewin brings up an interesting point, and outside back's been an issue on the men's side too. Maybe that needs to be an emphasis of coaching development in the U.S. soccer coaching curriculum at that.
Good thing you've got 2 of them in Atlanta one who is pretty much at the cusp of being ready, and then another one in the chamber who looks terrifying in 2 or 3 years.
On the men's side, you're starting to see group of players come through, and in Atlanta, yes, George Bello and Caleb Wiley on the left side. You also got Brian Reynolds coming through. You've got Reggie Cannon. You've got them coming, but it took a long time. On the women's side, you need that generational boost. So just saying, if you've got a young – here's maybe the best way to put it. If you've got a young, outstanding soccer-playing daughter who is a winger and likes it, but could maybe be scrappy, maybe be a little bit of a defender, maybe it's time to drop and start working on that now at 13, 14. And you might have a fast ticket into the women's national team pool. Just saying. Just a thought.
Yeah. No, I think I'm all for it. I want to see now. I want to see the Duchess and Ivy's game develop and see where it goes from here now. See, now
Well,
you have me intrigued as to their futures.
Well, if the Duchess is playing for Italy, you're not going to see her play very often. Sorry, Nick. The Italian women's
There's going to be a lot
national
of
team.
pettiness there, though. Good God.
There will, but you're going to have to find like the pirated feeds on Twitter to watch the Italian women's national team play.
Yeah, but you know that Nick would be the one who'd sit there and kind of
He'd
lend
be
it out to
pirating
everybody.
it. Yeah, no, he'd be pirating the feed, of course. But it's going to be the NWSL games, I would assume, unless she goes back to play for Milan or something, and then you're going to have to really work hard to find those games. So, I'm just saying, Nick, you might have a better opportunity here if she's that good. Just saying. The other game last night, she believes Canada had to work for it against this plucky upstart group from Argentina who has been really impressive in their two games without scoring, only scoring one time, without winning a game. They gave Brazil a lot to handle in that first game, surprised everybody, fell apart at the end. They took it all the way to stoppage time, ended up losing 1-0 to Canada. Stubborn is what the CBC described it. It was a funky goal, too. It's like a free kick, and Fleming mishits it. It falls to Sarah Stratakigis, and she kind of pops it in off the goalkeeper. I mean, it was weird.
Kind of Meslier-esque from the weekend with the Traore hitting the bar and then off of Meslier and into the net.
No, it was nothing like that. No. It was zero like that. It was just the goalkeeper comes out to try to make the save, and it deflects off of her, and it's weird. But Argentina's played really well, and that run of, wow, look at what they're doing is probably going to end in their next match where they play the United States. It could get ugly.
Yeah. No, and I think for Canada, obviously not having all the firepower that they had coming in, all the names, Sinclair, and all of the folks that you associate with Canada. I know that a lot of folks in that first match were going, they hung around, moral victory, whatever. But I think that what this is also doing is it's giving the Canadian national team a chance to look at all the other players that will be filling in those spots eventually anyway. But I think that Canada has they've acquitted themselves pretty well in their first two matches, and so we'll see what happens in their third.
John, you touched something in your mic.
I touched nothing.
Your mic got all messed up.
I touched nothing.
That makes no sense.
I touched a legal pad.
You broke something, John.
I did not.
I'm trying to fix it. Yeah.
I've touched virtually nothing on this show.
Let's boost everything back up again. Has everything changed?
Oh.
I hate this show today, y'all. Yeah, Jarrett, you should run and leave.
I'll send a care package.
Thank you, I guess.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, here's what we're going to do, folks. We are going to take a quick break. We don't do that around here, but we are going to. And I'm going to try to figure out why my board and John's mic has completely crapped the bed this morning. And we will be back, and hopefully John will be able to do his read when we come back. So, you guys hang out. Yeah, I know, mine went down too. I'm trying to figure all this out, y'all. Thank you. We're going to take a quick break. You guys hang out, talk amongst yourselves. That's what the Twitch pitch is for. If you're listening on the app, I'm very, very sorry. If you are listening to the podcast edition, you're not going to catch that whole first section of the show that didn't happen because that's going to get cut. But anyway, we will be right back after this. All right, we are muted. Give me a minute. I'm going to tweak a couple things.
Okay.
Because this has gone batty here for some reason.
Okay.
Because you sound like absolute crap, and you have from the beginning.
Okay.
All right, you just hold on. You might want to mute for a second. I mean, you don't want to hear me for a second because I'm going to be moving things around. Okay. Now can you hear me?
Yeah, you're fine.
I think that was what it was. How was
What it was.
Nothing. It's on my end. It's way too complicated to explain it.
Okay.
How was it on your end when I was talking before? Did it sound normal or did something sound wrong? Because you didn't say anything.
No, you sounded fine. But I'm also hearing myself in the mix minus now.
You are hearing yourself in the mix minus now.
Yes.
So now you are hearing yourself.
Yes.
Are you hearing yourself now?
Let me see. Yes.
The fuck? You should not be hearing yourself.
And Patrick is saying we're not muted.
Oh, we're not muted over there. Okay. Hey, guys on the app, you guys hang out. We'll be muted in a second. Hi, folks on the app. I think we might have things actually working now. Kind of, possibly. So, you guys bear with us while we get the Twitch back up and running, and we will go from there. All right. We are going to hope that all is good now. Somehow John's hearing, we're working on volume. We're bringing it back up slowly. Tranquilo, folks. Tranquilo. We're hoping that John's section is now working because it was doing weird things earlier.
Yes, it was.
Okay. So why don't you, John, tell us a quick joke?
Well, I could tell you something that I thought was somewhat ludicrous from the weekend, so I'll do that instead, because you don't want me telling jokes. And a lot of this, of course, depends on the economics of what we're talking about. We probably could discuss this tonight on Soccer Over There. But during the Manchester City match on the weekend, it was imagined by the folks who were calling the match, imagine if Manchester City went on a spending spree and brought in both Erling Haaland and Lionel Messi in the offseason. And I was wondering if they actually had that kind of money to do something like that, and who would end up leaving. And Pep Guardiola actually said that he would love to keep everyone who's around for as long as they'd like to be there. But he anticipates that there will be some changes in the offseason. But I know that Manchester City folks were sitting there going, oh, Haaland and Messi. And I'd love to know how they could afford something like that, but anything is possible. So I thought that that was an intriguing thing to say on the air as Manchester City won again over the weekend.
Okay, John's mic is great. Now you guys let me know how I sound in the balance. And I think we're good after having to readjust everything on the fly. Yay.
Yay.
Yeah, it was so jacked up to try to hear John earlier, then I was turned down, and when we got John fixed, then I was low, and then it's going back and forth. So there we go. Yay. I think we've sorted it all out. A couple changes of setup. For some reason, John was hearing himself for a minute, and then it just magically disappeared. I guess Mateo fixed that, and yeah. I don't know who to blame, Jason Nix. I have no idea. Blame the fact that we don't have an external
me.
producer. You're part of it. I'm part of it, I think. And I blame the audio gremlins as the other part. So
Yes.
there we go. I'm learning audio engineering right in front of your very eyes. Yay. It's not fun. Okay. That does take us to everyone's favorite part of the show. I think it is everyone's favorite part of the show. And I don't know how this became everyone's favorite part of the show.
Audience participation.
We have lots of audience participation. We've had that from the beginning. But this has become maybe the signature segment. Maybe. And John gets a chance now to do a read now that his microphone is completely functional and everybody can actually hear him. I think we actually improved his microphone somehow in all of this, which is a good thing.
Nice.
And he's going to tell us about Steve Apolinsky.
Apolinsky and Associates, LLC, proud supporters of everything soccer down here in the SDH network for wrongful death and serious injury matters. There's one place that you need to go, and it's Apolinsky and Associates, LLC. A couple different ways that you can do it. You can pick up the phone. Some of us still do have landlines and can do it that way if we so choose, and give Steve a call, 404-377-9191, get a free consultation. Or you can shoot Steve an email, steve@aa-legal.com. Or option 3 is to go on the World Wide Web, large device or small. You can do it that way as well. Hit the enter key, the return key, the arrow key after you have typed aa-legal.com into the bar. You get the homepage for Apolinsky and Associates, LLC, and if your question is not answered by looking at all the information on the homepage, there's a pop-up window that pops up, low right-hand corner, because that's what pop-up windows do. They pop up 24/7, 365 and a quarter. And if your question isn't answered on the homepage, you can get it answered in the pop-up window. Over 30 years of experience, over $40 million in judgments for their clients in both Georgia and Alabama, Eastern Time Zone, Central Time Zone. You can have your questions answered by Apolinsky and Associates, LLC, recognized as Legal Elite by Georgia Trend Magazine for being one of the top 100 firms in this here state of Georgia. For wrongful death and serious injury matters, there's only one place you need to go. It's Apolinsky and Associates, LLC, and the website is aa-legal.com.
You got a little distracted, didn't you?
Oh, there's a dog barking in the mid-level.
Yeah, I know. You got a little distracted. You let it affect your concentration.
There's a dog barking on the mid-level, yes.
I have a dog barking all the time on my show, and you know, I'm used to it. It doesn't. I just include it as part of the bit.
Oh, I do too.
Jason Nix took a minus 0.5 off for the barking dog. I said that's a +5 when you have a barking dog on the show. I did stand up for Trooper on that one, but it affected you, so maybe it's a minus 0.5 for you in the distraction. I'm going to start with the running commentary during this.
Go for it.
Let me go back to the beginning. Take bets. Will John's mic go out? I said it should be 2-1 odds. Abby wanted to know which mic you were using. I said don't ask because then we'll break it again. Time for a new script has been a request. We need to start a fundraiser to get John a keyboard with red switches.
There you go.
No. Wrong corner, John. I think you were pointing in the wrong corner at one point.
I went to my right. Yes, that is correct.
People thought that was Gwen barking. It was not Gwen barking. Gwen has a, I think, little bit louder bark.
Yes.
You might not catch it quite as much with my microphone the way I have it
the
set
proximity of Gwen to your mic and Trooper to my mic is different.
Yeah, it's closer distance. That's true. There's no mid-level where I'm at. -1 for not holding up 3 fingers correctly. That's not good.
Wait, what? That's what I did, didn't
I? What? I don't know what you did. I was trying to answer people's questions.
Well, it's 3. You know, you hold up 3. What, did I hold up different fingers? Did I hold up like a thumb and like that or something?
I don't know what you held up. I don't know what you did, John. I'm confused.
I am too.
3 is more than a couple of ways. That is accurate. Snarky poke at modernity. I'm going to go with modernity. You lost 2 points for it, whatever you want to call it. 6 out of 10. -1 for the time zone comment.
Wait, so I get a plus for the time zone comment last week, and I get a minus for the time zone comment this week?
People have different tastes, John. These are different judges. If it's 24/7, it doesn't matter where you are. You could use Zulu for all the pop-up cares. It's accurate. 9, John is saving Monday. That's a big stretch there,
Wow.
Hutcho. Coco, 5.75. The dog saved you from a sub 5. 7.83. Good pin placement. 9 out of 10. On the South Georgia scale, you got a 22, and again, I don't know what that translates to. 7.1. 4.2321.
Wow.
I'm still getting dinged for the landline comment. The distraction, the time zones, the East German judge, not a fan.
No.
7.855, a 6.2, a 7.5. The neck gator threw you off, threw Jason Nix off anyway.
That could very well, yes, because that is the reason that I have to take an intermission here shortly.
To take that off?
No, I have to hopefully use it briefly. I have to go pick up the boss.
When are you doing that? Are you leaving the show to do that?
Yeah, briefly. I have to go, and I'll be back for the end of the show.
News to me.
I thought her appointment was going to be done at 11, and she's apparently done now.
Okay. Well, we'll figure that out. -2 for the bandana around the neck. That's true. Mechanical switches would be good. After all the distractions and restarts, Abby's going to be easy, 8.965. It is Gwen's favorite segment, too. That's true. It is a soccer down here gator, so that should it is a soccer down here gator, Strummer John, so that should get you bonus points. -1 for the redundancy, -1.5 -1 for the bandana, -8.5 for not knowing 3 fingers of bourbon, Joe Boss says.
That. Okay. There we go. Yeah. 3 fingers of bourbon is sideways. It's like, okay. All right. For those watching on the Twitch pitch, it's like, yeah. There you go. Okay. I got it.
6.245. -2 for the gator when you're in your own office. That's a fair comment.
Hey, I got here on the hop to get the show on, to be here for the show this morning, and just didn't have the opportunity to take it off. And if I tried to take it off now, I would get lost in the earphones, and it'd be a mess.
How long does it take you to put that on and take it off? Because you're acting like it's a very complicated procedure.
Who are we talking about here?
That's true, but, I mean, this is even weird for you.
I'm sitting down ready to do a show. I wasn't really looking at the wardrobe, even though the wardrobe is all SDH. SDH Gator, zip up, golf shirt. It's all SDH today.
Ay, Dios mío.
Yes.
+3 for not pausing too long on the .com.
I hit the baseline correctly.
Sean Vergara says it's called an Uber. That's true.
No. This is a big doctor's appointment. I have to be there.
To pick somebody up.
Yes.
Not actually at the doctor's appointment.
No. Yeah, they don't allow you into the doctor's appointment.
Okay. Still okay. -5 for leaving early at 3.7. Abby said he didn't know he was leaving early.
I'll be back
until
for the end of the show.
It's a conspiracy. It is a conspiracy. Don't Uber during a pandemic. That's also a fair point from Domer.
True, yes. Yeah.
You need to know who your Uber or your Lyft person is, and that's the challenge, because you don't know if they're taking everything seriously. Well, I guess you need to leave then, John.
Briefly, yes. So I will see you guys back at the end of the show. I'm going to go pick up the boss and bring her back after her doctor's appointment. So I will see you guys in just a little bit.
Okay. Bye, John.
Right. Bye.
All right. 1 second, and we will be back with video for me. There we go. Didn't see that one coming. Welcome to Monday. But didn't see a lot of things coming today, did I? All right. I want to get into a few different things from around the leagues that we have not gotten into just yet. So John did not just quit, but I guess he just had to go. In Germany, if you were with us on Saturday morning for the Power Hour, it was a very fun time watching Bayern Munich make the race for the Bundesliga appear out of thin air. They lost. RB Leipzig did what we expected them to do yesterday. They got the win. 3-0, comfortable. Now that lead for Bayern Munich is not so comfortable. It's 2 points after everything. So Bayern have dropped 5 points this week. The draw at home to Arminia Bielefeld and the defeat at Eintracht Frankfurt. That is since coming back from the Club World Cup. The hangover is real. Leipzig won 3-0 at Hertha Berlin, which was not a surprise. Leipzig have won all 5 of their Bundesliga matches at Hertha Berlin. did take them a little while to break through. The goal from Marcel Sabitzer, one of the goals of the weekend, highly recommended to check that one out. That was all that separated it until the 71st minute. You got a second. You got another one later. And now RB Leipzig bounced back after the midweek Champions League loss to Liverpool to close that lead. So let's go over to the Bundesliga real quick. This was a race that thought was pretty much done. It was boring old Bundesliga Bayern again. But now it's 2 points. Wolfsburg are on 42 along with Eintracht Frankfurt. They are 7 points back from Bayern with 12 matches to go. So now you're going to start looking at least for now, Bayern and RB Leipzig and where things go with them. You have a match on the 27th, Bayern hosting FC Köln, who's in 14th place. They should be fine with that one. Should be. Should be is the key word. They were not fine with Arminia Bielefeld, who is 2 places behind. We'll see where that goes. RB Leipzig is next hosting Borussia Mönchengladbach, who is in 8th place on 33 points. Trickier game, for sure, but both teams should win. Now, the question is, do these teams play one another anytime soon? Because it seems to be a recurring theme in the leagues around the world where the teams battling it out play each other in the next few weeks. It's going to be a little bit longer than that in Germany. If Leipzig can keep it close, they host Bayern Munich on April 3rd. That will be coming after Bayern plays on St. Patrick's Day against Lazio and then plays Stuttgart. That'll be coming back after the break, after the international break, which we've seen that be really, really tricky. I'm going to have to screen grab that. That's a good call on John's freeze. That might be his default picture from now on. I would tell him to use it as a new profile picture on Twitter, but that would actually require him figuring things out. I got nothing. Okay, are you guys hearing me okay? Because I see Joe's having a problem with that. It looks fine on my end, but now you've got me freaking out about all of this. So if I am not being heard, please let me know so I can figure it out. Okay, good. Thank you. Sorry, I'm freaking out about the audio now. I want to know what you guys think in Germany. Is Bayern going to get this thing done, or is RB Leipzig going to shock the world and win the title and anger everybody in Germany along the way? Because I think most of German football would be very happy to see Bayern not win. I don't know if they're happy to see Leipzig be the team that actually wins. That's the funny part. Oh, we will see where this goes. One good bit of news, if you like American managers who are working in Germany, Pellegrino Matarazzo, and I don't think we'd mentioned this before, he has had his contract extended at Stuttgart through 2024. It had a salary bump in it. Good for Pellegrino. It also has an exit clause for 2023 incorporated into it. So Pellegrino Matarazzo will be at Stuttgart for a little while, unless I guess he's bought out and goes somewhere else. Some questions now about what happens at some of the other clubs, who you see move around. Also on the player side, the commentary on Erling Haaland is getting very, very intriguing. How much money is he going to want in salary? A lot. That reserve clause, that buyout clause, hits summer of 22. It's 68 million pounds. It's like 78 million euro. If Dortmund wants to make more money than that, they need to do it now, this summer. But as things are starting to be talked about in this, and people talk without things actually happening officially, it's going to take a lot of money. It's going to take a whole lot of money to pull this one off. And you've got Chelsea in on this. You've got Manchester United in on this. You've got Manchester City in on this. You've got Real Madrid in on this. PSG will probably emerge at some point because that's what they do. Yeah, this is going to get weird. 300,000 pounds a week is what is being quoted to the clubs. Is a lot. They're going to have to. So to get this deal done this summer, I totally agree, Coco. That's a really low release clause. Mino Raiola is no dummy. He knew that long term, it was not good for him or his client to be at Dortmund for a long period of time. Good for the short term, good bump. Long term, nah. He wants him at a bigger club. And when you've got now a bidding war, which could be emerging between United, City, Chelsea, Real Madrid, maybe PSG, maybe somebody else. Yep. And Dortmund knows that the clock's ticking, so they're going to sell now, which is even better for Mino Raiola. That's a fat check now, right? The big bump in pay for Haaland. Everything has worked out the way Mino Raiola could have hoped. That is exactly why it went down the way that it did. So now you're getting conversation in Spain. And this is fascinating to me. It started with Real Madrid going after Kylian Mbappe. That was what they were going to do. They were going to save money. They were going to go after Mbappe, get that deal done. Boom. That's why they didn't buy anybody last summer or fall when the window was. That's why they shed salary. That's why they sold guys. It was all about being ready to buy Mbappe. Now, it's like, well, wait a minute. Let's just get Haaland instead. Then, you know what? Let's get Mbappe later. Let's get them both. That's now the talk in Madrid. Let's get both. Madrid's fine financially, Coco, in terms of where things stand. Question about there's no way that Real Madrid or Barcelona could get a big enough loan. Barcelona, I don't think could get a loan anywhere at the moment. They already owe a bunch on loans. Madrid's a different conversation. They have debt, but it's different debt. Barcelona has a lot of short-term debt. Real Madrid has longer-term debt. So they're going to have room to work with. But here's the conversation now in AS and Spain on this. So Madrid's linked to both. PSG is allegedly going to offer Mbappe, or they already have it on the table, and he hasn't answered yet. There's been some reporting that way. 36 million euro net per season. 72 million euro gross is what PSG is going to offer Mbappe to stay. Haaland reportedly is being offered in the ballpark by City and United in the Premier League 90 million euro gross for 5 years, 18 million euro per season, 9 million euro net. This is on the Haaland side of it. So, according to AS, Madrid would only need to pay only 10 million euro per year to get Haaland. None of this is adding up. And this is where things get weird in transfer dramas, isn't it? A lot of money over here being asked. Okay, over here it's saying it's this. This player's talking about this. This one's going to go for less. What? I don't know how Madrid is going to pull this off to get both, but they want both because they want a massive splash with the renovated Santiago Bernabeu Stadium. They want a massive splash when fans are back in the building. They want a massive splash with Barcelona in crisis. They want a massive splash with Atleti starting to stumble a little bit. I mean, is Atleti a team that can be at the top of La Liga while Madrid's stumbling a bit, while Barcelona's a mess? Maybe. They don't have the financial clout that Madrid has, and Madrid knows that this is a chance for them to consolidate the top of the table. Can they go get both of these guys? I love that AS says this sentence. Signing both players together is a real challenge in the middle of a pandemic. Duh. Forecard, yes, I kicked John off the show. Absolutely. Kicked him off. He was getting out of hand, as you can see from the freeze, and it just... Adios. Not really. When it comes to Madrid, they have to bring in some extra money. Now, AS also has another comical thing of selling Gareth Bale and possibly Eden Hazard would be a financial boost to the club. Nobody's buying Gareth Bale. Sorry, nobody is buying Gareth Bale. It ain't happening. Hazard, I mean, what's the market for him? Who's going to buy him? If you're just trying to get anything, maybe. I don't think anybody's buying Bale. I just don't. I don't see it at all. maybe you can get a cut rate deal on Eden Hazard. Maybe. I don't know. So I don't think that's going to be much revenue. So you're looking, according to AS, 92 million euro is what you're going to need salary-wise for both Mbappe and Haaland. That's salary-wise. You got to work, then have the transfer fee. Each one, according to estimates, and this is AS in Spain talking, each one could cost 150 million euro in a transfer fee. That lines up on Haaland for sure because of that release clause next summer, where it is. Dortmund's probably going to say, let's double that, and that's what we're going to ask for now. That's where the number's going to start. Forkard wants Bale on loan at Swansea. If Swansea can pay his massive salary, maybe they do it. Not seeing it, though. He's got one more year on his deal, I believe, at Madrid. I don't know how many more years Eden Hazard has, but a while. It's not one. So in total, according to AS, just to get a sense of making this move happen for Madrid, to get both of these guys, 6 years is what you'd need contract-wise for them. The transfer fees, the salaries, all of it. 852 million euro is what it's going to take Real Madrid to start a new galaxy of stars. 300 million in transfer fees for the two. 432 million euro for Mbappe's salary. And they seem to think they could get Haaland for such a cheaper salary. I'm not buying that part. 20 million per year as opposed to Mbappe's 72 million euro per year. I'm not buying it. It's chump change, I know, for Real Madrid, but I'm not buying it. I don't think there's any way they get both because I think somebody's going to come in and say, okay, that's the salary for Haaland that Real Madrid would pay. We can pay more than that. There's no way they can pull both off. There's just no way. I don't see it. Now, you want to laugh, and Forkard, you're probably going to get upset with us along with any other Barcelona fan, talking about bad contracts. Barcelona had an opportunity to bump up a little bit after Atleti's slip, and Atleti has absolutely slipped lately. Kind of like Bayern, you thought that La Liga was done. I thought it was done. I absolutely thought it was done. I thought Atleti had the crown. You could crown them. No, not so much. This double header they had to do with Levante has messed them up. Now they're 3 points ahead of Real Madrid. They do have a game in hand, but the door's open. Well, it was open for Barcelona too until a penalty late against Cadiz, who Barcelona has not beaten this season. You wasted Lionel Messi's goal in his 506th La Liga appearance, a club record. And it's a draw with Cadiz. Only shot on goal for Cadiz. Barca had won 7 in a row in La Liga. Now Barca can be overtaken in third if Sevilla wins today against Osasuna. But talking about bad contracts, Lenglet. He was, according to Marca, and I love this term, it's not an American term that typically gets used, the pantomime villain. That was Lenglet in this game. Gave away the penalty. Late to a challenge. Some people have argued, said it wasn't a penalty. I think it's a penalty. And he kind of smiled afterwards. You know, which isn't necessarily the best thing to do after a penalty in the situation. It's absolutely the worst thing to do when you have had a bad red card. You gave up a penalty for grabbing Sergio Ramos in the Clásico. You had an issue in the last time you played Cadiz. He's had to play due to the injury to Piqué. He hasn't been able to take the step forward. It's not been good. Younger guys have looked better than him. And here's the kicker. October 20th. Go back to October 20th, after the win against Ferencváros in Champions League. 4 contracts were announced as renewed at Barcelona. This was the final amazing legacy that Josep Bartomeu, the president, leaves. One of them was Lenglet. 5 more years added to his deal. He is under contract at Barcelona through 2026. And it gets better. Annual salary, 5.7 million euro. And it gets even better. For some reason, they put a buyout clause on him, and you could sell him for less if you opt to, but they put a buyout of 300 million euro on this guy. What? Was Bartomeu drunk? Did he want to just put a anvil around Barcelona's neck? That's one of the last things he did. It wasn't necessary. He was already under contract through 23. You didn't need to go get him and pay him for 3 more years. You didn't need to bump up his number that much. You didn't need to do any of this. Madness. That was one of the big talking points over the weekend in Spain. Absolute madness on that deal. The release clause is asinine. I'm totally with you, Coco. The game today, 3 p.m. It's on BN Sports. It's on Fanatis as well. fntz.co/ since John isn't here, I'll do it. Soccer down here. 3 o'clock, Osasuna hosting Sevilla. Sevilla's won their last 5 in a row in La Liga, 4 straight clean sheets. That little run was ended in all competitions in Champions League last week. But they're playing a team in Osasuna who's won 3 of their last 4. This should be a really good one in La Liga. And as I said before, Sevilla can move to 3rd with a win ahead of Barcelona. I am with Burned on this. Barcelona needs to go homegrown as much as they can. Talking about center backs. You've got a couple guys who have played pretty well at center back with Araujo, with Mingueza. Do it. If you can find somebody to give you anything for Lenglet, if you can find somebody to give you anything for Umtiti, you're going to have to sell guys. You just have to. And I think anybody is up for grabs at this point. Because I don't know how else Barca pays the bills. I don't. I don't know what they're going to be able to do here. And it's to the point, and there's a good piece from Guillaume Balage, who is an outstanding follow, highly recommended. Does a lot of work in English as well with the BBC. He breaks down the presidential election coming up here in a couple weeks, and it's the most important thing in Barcelona's history, potentially. Who wins that election is going to have so much work to do to fix all of this. But it is to the point. Now remember, Barcelona is a membership-driven club. The members own the club, control the club. Well, when you have the debt that Barcelona has, you might have to sell part of the club. You might not have a choice. And that is starting to be talked about. That is starting to come up. Barcelona want to remain solely in the hands of the fans. They do. There are huge companies that are sitting there waiting to buy part of the club. In Catalan media, that is heresy. That is not going to be talked about. They might not have a choice if this is as bad as it seemingly is financially. And that would change everything at Barcelona. That would absolutely change everything. I don't know all of the rules, regulations, the permutations of all of that, but it is starting to be whispered at this point is, well, can they sell part of it? Can they sell less than the majority so the fans have the majority, but somebody comes in and buys 20%, 30%? You're starting to hear about more teams worldwide selling part of the club because they've got to find this revenue. They have to find this revenue right now. One element where people are starting to sell parts of clubs or whole clubs is the Chinese-owned clubs. 2017, not that long ago, 20 Chinese-owned clubs in Europe. Now it's less than 10, and that number continues to go down. This is because of changes in Chinese investment in sport. There's a new 5-year plan that started last year. It's the 14th 5-year plan. Formally called for money to come back home and investments to be focused domestically. Now, this is all about wanting to really build up China as a potential host for the 2030 World Cup. They tried to go big with the Chinese Super League, bring in a bunch of stars. That didn't work. Now they're going to try to build it up domestically. But they want this money that's being spent in other parts of the world on clubs brought back locally. So you can rule out China buying anything in terms of Barcelona, unless they make some kind of an exception, which is always possible. But there's other clubs that are looking to do what Barcelona might be looking to do. You've got Inter. now leading in Italy. And I'm sure Nick Alifi will have a lot to say about that tonight on Soccer Over There. They're up for sale for maybe all of it, maybe part of it, maybe a majority share, maybe just a minority share. Inter's up for sale. Southampton, looking. West Brom, looking or trying to sell everything. It's going to get weird in this front, and it's already weird in England. There's a piece in The Guardian today that I recommend you checking out. David Kahn. Gwen read it too. Gwen's a big fan of this writer at The Guardian who breaks into all of the situation on the loans that English clubs are having to take out. Now, we've talked about Burnley and that situation and how that loan was put back on the club. We've seen that happen. Manchester United did that as well. Southampton, Derby, and Sunderland had taken out multi-million-pound loans from an American private investment firm, MSD Capital. MSD Capital, based in the Olympic Tower in New York on Fifth Avenue, manages the assets of Michael Dell, founder of Dell Technologies, and his family. The mission statement, the purpose of MSD Capital is to make investments that consistently generate superior absolute risk-adjusted returns over the long term. They started doing this in 2019 with Sunderland. Sunderland running into issues getting a bank to loan them money. Now, this has gotten worse with the pandemic. But Sunderland went down this road. $12 million, November of 2019, taken by the owner of the club, Stuart Donald. It was made by a different group, but it was linked to MSD Capital. It was not directly from MSD, but they knew about it. The partners themselves made it. When Sunderland was finally completely taken over by 23-year-old Kirill Louis-Dreyfus, which is madness in and of itself, that loan was finally paid off. Okay. Derby and Sunderland didn't answer questions to David Kahn about the borrowings that they've had. Loans were taken to cover ongoing costs, primarily player wages. Southampton made it clear that they borrowed in anticipation of further losses because of the pandemic. £78.8 million loan taken out by Southampton. June 29th is when it was taken out. MSD's Cayman Islands-owned company has a mortgage on St. Mary's Stadium, the training ground, and other properties that the club owns. This is a Chinese-owned club. Gao Jishing bought the club for £210 million in 2017. Now, he was widely reported to have put the club up for sale last March, then borrowed from MSD 3 months later. This is getting weird with some of these teams. Nick Alifi, thank you. Spezia have ties to MSD Capital. There's going to be more. Kahn wrote specifically about the ties in England. There are more, and there's going to be more. This is going to get funky, even when fans get back in the buildings. And that's the thing that if you're Barcelona, if you're Real Madrid, if you are any club in the world, Dortmund, and what they're going to have to face if they don't make the Champions League. Schalke dropping down a level. How are they going to handle that? Anybody who gets relegated this year from the Premier League, from any of the major leagues, you're going to have major financial repercussions not go away next fall when it's probably pretty good odds that by the time the European seasons start in the fall of this year, full capacities will be available in most every stadium in Europe in top leagues. I think that's a safe hope. I think it's beyond a hope. I think that's a safe assumption at this point. It's not going to go away then, because you're just plugging back into revenue that you were expected to have anyway. These losses are still there. And now that you've got loans on top of the losses, and you're not going to necessarily have more revenue to cover the loan payments. It's going to get weird. Coco with a really good point. Dortmund can fix things really quickly. You sell Erling Haaland. You sell some of the other stars. Okay. That's temporary. But then, as we all know, for a club like Dortmund, you sell a top player, you sell top players, and you got to get back into the Champions League because that's what you have to make up for the losses in the long term. Can you do that? we see clubs who get relegated overspend to try to immediately get back in England, right? Are you going to see that now change to where clubs who are in the Champions League and lose out on Champions League the following year overspend to try to get back into the Champions League and then put themselves at risk? This is going to get weird. This is going to get really weird, and I've thought it would sooner than now. I hope it doesn't. I hope we're just worried. I hope we're just freaking out over this stuff because it is scary. I don't know how some of these clubs are going to be able to handle it. I don't. We'll have to wait and see. But there's a lot of clubs that are now in this game with an MSD Capital and others who have now loan payments are going to start coming due. And just plugging back into revenue doesn't fix it because your books, your bills, your player salaries are based on just having fans in the stands like normal. Now you're going to add another payment on top of that you got to find new money for. Where is it? Where's the new money coming from? I don't know. Sales? Absolutely. Player sales? Absolutely. But who's going to be buying? That's going to be the challenge. That's where it gets really interesting. I know we'll continue to talk about it as more things come out. We'll probably get into it on Soccer Over There a little bit today because this has been something that Nick Alifi's talked about in the Italian game quite a bit. 7 o'clock tonight on Twitch, twitch.tv/soccerdown here on the app as well. Hopefully no crazy audio issues, but I make no guarantees. Today in England, Brighton hosting Crystal Palace. 5 clean sheets in their last 6 for Brighton. Brighton only 1 win in their last 16 at home, even with those clean sheets. That's kind of crazy. On the Palace side, they've lost 2 games in a row without Wilfried Zaha. They haven't scored in those games. This does not exactly look like a fun game. And also, Crystal Palace is reportedly interested in Steve Cooper at Swansea as a line of succession for Roy Hodgson. 3 p.m. NBC SN. If you're looking for a more fun game to watch, you might want to watch the game in La Liga. If you're just looking for a game to watch that could be sad, maybe you go to NBCSN and watch that one. Maybe, possibly. You could also go to Italy and watch Juventus and Crotone at 2:45 on ESPN+. Probably going to be sad in a different way. Crotone have lost their last 5 away from home. They've conceded at least 2 goals in each of those 5 losses. They did get a draw at home against Juventus back on October 17th. Juve's won 3 in a row in all competitions. They are missing 5 players today. Chiellini, Bonucci, injured. Rabiot, suspended. Arthur, Cuadrado, and Dybala are also out today for Juventus. They should still be fine. Moises Caicedo, is he going to start today for Brighton? That is the topic. I don't know why he's not already being thrown into this team. He would have been there day one for me. This idea of he needs time, he needs to get used to this team, he needs to adjust. Nonsense. Kid's ready. Play him. We'll see. But I'm not expecting it, sadly. He should be. He has not played in a game yet, as far as I know. He should be playing. He should be. It's very frustrating. Welcome to England at times. It can be very frustrating. Also in England, let's talk a little bit about how the weekend went. And yes, I will go ahead and say sorry, Alex, for your Newcastle this weekend. Not good. Also not good for Liverpool. We had a lot of fun with the 1999 thing. If you were on the Power Hour on Saturday, it had been since 1999 since Everton had won at Anfield. Well, they did it here. They were probably listening to Blue Dabadi by Eiffel 65 afterwards. They were probably listening to the greatest hits on what was it? Now That's Music. One of those CDs. They probably had to go find a CD player for this to play the one from 1999. It would have had Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera and Alice DJ and all of these different wonderful things on it. Liverpool is Liverpool right now. Everton is schizophrenic, but Liverpool loses Jordan Henderson in this. And according to reports, he's going to miss the next 5 games with a groin injury. That's Sheffield United, that's Chelsea, that's Fulham, that's Wolves, and the second leg with RB Leipzig. He's also a doubt for World Cup qualifiers next month for England. Oy. That is where things stand for Liverpool. That is basically the noise I can make to describe Liverpool these days. Oy. It's very bad. Newcastle's very bad too. But Steve Bruce is convinced that Newcastle will avoid relegation. He's convinced, even though they lost their 8th in 10 to Manchester United. They are 3 points clear of the drop zone. 3 points clear. Bruce said, Fulham have had a good week and have won a couple games, which at the bottom end of the table is big. My message to the supporters is that I'm convinced we'll be okay. We're not going a whole lot past Johannes, 11 o'clock, but we'll go a little bit past it. So it's good to know. Steve Bruce thinks they are okay. Newcastle were 10 points clear not that long ago of the drop zone. 10 points clear not that long ago, 2 weeks ago, after they beat Southampton. Now they're 3 points clear. Now they have lost Callum Wilson. That hurts them. They have more injuries now with Manquillo and Fabian Schär. Now Joelinton. Groin or hip problem. That's not a temporary thing. That's a little bit longer. They lost him in this. Alan St. Maximin, he gets one back. That's good. Good to see. Outside of that, it's not good for Newcastle. Manchester United wasn't good in this match either. They get the win. They win 3-1. It wasn't convincing. It was 1-1 at halftime. Rashford had scored the opener. They get a penalty from Bruno Fernandes. They did what they had to do. Newcastle has problems now if you start to look at how things stand. You have to be afraid of this if you're Newcastle. You absolutely do. I'm sorry, Steve Bruce can tell you everything he wants to tell you about it's going to be okay and I'm not worried and yada, yada, yada. He should be worried because Fulham's a good defensive team. And now you're in that range. I've said it for a long time about Fulham. Draws weren't going to cut it. Well, now you're 3 points. Draws can cut it. And they're not giving up much more than a goal a game. Newcastle, on the other hand, is giving up almost 2 goals a game. They're both scoring about the same. Newcastle scores a little bit more than Fulham. But Newcastle's frailty defensively could be what do them in. Now, let's look at just the next couple of matches. We're not going to go all the way down. We'll look at the next 2 for each one. Newcastle host Wolves. They go to West Brom. 3 points there. You got to beat West Brom. You got to go to West Brom and win now if you're Newcastle. You don't have a choice. That's not going to be easy because both of those teams are bad, but you should be able to do it. So, okay, if they get 3. And Wolves is beatable now for Newcastle, but I'm not going to give them any credit there. Let's say they get those 3 points. Fulham's next 2. They go to Palace. They host Tottenham. That might be a little bit tougher. Maybe a point. Is that fair? If Newcastle doesn't take advantage of these next 2, if they don't take advantage of that West Brom game, I'll go ahead and put it this way. This is my bold prediction of the day on a Monday that has had all kinds of issues. Manic Monday. If Newcastle does not win at West Brom, they are going down. I think they'll get caught if they don't win that match. That's an opportunity for them to create a little bit of separation in these next 2. If they don't do it, I think they're going down. I do. It's not good. It's not good. It's not good some other places either in England. It's good for Manchester City, though. They just keep winning. Last defeat, any competition, 26 games ago at Tottenham. Madness for Manchester City. Johannes, I'm with you. APL has about 10 to 12 teams that are really tough to watch. Newcastle's one of them, and they shouldn't be. It's frustrating. City wins yesterday 1-0. Raheem Sterling header, unexpected, but it's enough. Second minute, holds up. You didn't really see that kind of run coming, but City's just really doing what they do well. They're spreading teams out. They have the balance. They're winning those half spaces. Those 2 attacking midfielders coming up, eating up space. They are handling those moments. It is really, really good and organized Really good, really well thought out. Manchester City is basically a machine at this point, and they are 10 points clear at the top of the table over Manchester United and Leicester. Crown them, they get the title. United and Leicester are 6 points clear of Chelsea, who is in 5th. We're talking about Champions League spots now. West Ham is the surprise. West Ham is in the 4th spot at the moment. Nobody saw that one coming. They beat Tottenham. Jesse Lingard is lighting things on fire for West Ham, winning goal in the 47th minute. Tottenham is a mess. West Ham has only lost one of their last 9 league games under David Moyes. West Ham's in a good spot. West Ham is in a very good spot. Now, they got to hold off Chelsea. They're 5 points clear of Liverpool and Everton. Everton has a game in hand still. Aston Villa has 2 games in hand, but they're 9 points back from West Ham. It's a little bit tougher for them. Next 2 for West Ham, they go to City. Okay, not good. Then they host Leeds, which they can win that. Leeds in 12th. Leeds is about what we thought they would be. We said somewhere around 10 to 12 this year. They're about that. They're very up and down. They're very entertaining. They handle teams that are in the bottom half of the league, I think, very well. They struggle against the better teams that can exploit Leeds' risk-taking. So that's where they stand. West Ham can win that one. I don't think they get anything against City. Spurs, on the other hand. Spurs are now in 9th. 4 losses out of their last 5. Milk's gotten sour in Jose's fridge. He was asked if he's ever doubted his coaching methods amid this poor run of form. Jose Mourinho. Nope, not at all. The results are the consequences of multi-situations in football. Mine and my coaching staff methods are second to nobody in the world. That's bold. That's really bold. He also dismissed suggestions the team was in crisis, but he admitted there is frustration and sadness in the changing room, and they are, quote, having a bad run of results. Of course our team has problems, and the problems they have reflection on results and on points. And I also believe that a little bit of that light, a little bit of that luck that you also need in football to win matches has to be back. He's asking for luck. Milk's gone sour. And now you're getting a report in an English tabloid. Daniel Levy is reportedly considering rating Leicester for Brendan Rodgers as he considers Jose Mourinho's future as Tottenham manager. Levy is debating a swoop for long-term target Brendan Rodgers if Mourinho fails to turn things around. Football Insider reports that Rodgers has been admired by Levy since his days at Swansea, when Rodgers did great work at Swansea. Levy is said to have held talks to assess Rodgers' interest in replacing Harry Redknapp back in 2012. Now, here's my question to you, and Michael Ruiz goes ahead and asks it. That's what I like what happens around here. Y'all finish my sentences now. I like it. Michael Ruiz asks, and this is where I was going to go, doesn't Leicester seem to be an equal job to Tottenham at this point? Would you leave Leicester if you are Brendan Rodgers to go to Tottenham? The one selling point in going to Tottenham and leaving Leicester, if you are Brendan Rodgers, is to have 2 of the best players in the world in your team, and Harry Kane and Son. You don't have that at Leicester. Can you be better at Tottenham than you are at Leicester? Yes, I think you can. I think you have more resources. I think you have more to work with. I think you have more stature. Not by a lot, though. And you have more stability. You have more of a leash at Leicester, I think, if you're Brendan Rodgers. I guess it just depends on, is he clout chasing in a lot of ways? The money can be there too, and yeah, perfect, Tommy. That's a really good point. And is Harry Kane there? If Harry Kane's not there, then that job becomes a whole lot less attractive. Daniel Levy would have to spend a lot of money a lot of money to get Brendan Rodgers to make that jump because Leicester is better than Tottenham right now, and by a good bit. I mean, just the table doesn't lie. 49 points to 36. Yes, Tottenham has a game in hand. Leicester's looking at championship football next year, or Champions League football. Tottenham is looking at not being in Europe. I wouldn't do it. Unless, as Bartimus Prime hints at, unless Daniel Levy says, which he has not said for a long time, and this ended up being an issue with Pochettino, who we'll get to in a minute. Unless he says, it's time to spend money. It's time to spend. Here's a big transfer budget for you, which he can't because they just built the stadium and COVID and stuff. And they don't really have much they can sell unless they're going to sell one of the players that would make you want to take the job. As you workshop this one,
Sorry, did I hear Brendan Rodgers discussions?
We did, and I figured that would bring you out. I don't think you can tell me, Jarrett, as you drift in from the abyss, I don't think you can tell me that Brendan Rodgers should walk away from Leicester to go to Tottenham if that offer is put on the table in front of him. If it's handed to him in an envelope, secret envelope, you don't know what it's in the envelope. Brendan likes those envelopes. Do you take it and go to Tottenham if you're Brendan Rodgers?
Maybe not right now. Do you feel like that the ceiling at Tottenham can be higher? Because right now it's not where it sits. I think I would prefer Leicester right now because I feel like you have a less intrusive owner at Leicester.
Can I hold up for a second because I need to say something. Sam Williamson says, "How long are we going to pretend Kane is the best striker in England? Vardy is so much better, and it's not even close." Sam, I would throw things if I could at the moment. No. Harry Kane is one of the best players in the world. He gives you so much more than just goal scoring. Jamie Vardy gives you goal scoring. Jamie Vardy's older too. Jamie Vardy, how old is Jamie Vardy these days? 34. I mean, how much more does Jamie Vardy have to give? Harry Kane's got more than that. Harry Kane's a more complete player. I have to thoroughly disagree, Sam Williamson. I'm sorry. In their systems, they're both super effective. But they do different things. So I can't tell Sam otherwise. I'm telling you otherwise. I'm going to argue with you on it. But in their systems, would Harry Kane be as successful at Leicester replacing Jamie Vardy? He'd be different. Does he get more out of other players around him? Maybe. Is Jamie Vardy as successful at Tottenham? No. He's not. I don't see it. I just don't. Anyway, that goes back to maybe the one thing, Jarrett, that would make me consider leaving. Jamie Vardy's 34. Looking at the rest of this Leicester squad, you've got some aging guys in the back as well. Kasper Schmeichel's 34. He's still got time on him. But can you rebuild at Leicester or reload, since we don't like the rebuild word, effectively, or would it be better to do that at Tottenham? That would be the one thing that maybe does. If you start to say, Jamie Vardy can't do this for 2 more years. I don't know. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the only thing, because I can't come up with another good reason right now.
No, I can't. The age and just the potential ceiling for me is what does it. I think there is an issue of you have a ceiling at Leicester, and I think that Brendan Rodgers has elevated that ceiling. Absolutely. But I think the ceiling can be higher at Tottenham because you have, and I know you mentioned, you have limitations of money right now. You just built a stadium. You have COVID. You have some insanely talented players who still have a little more time on their legs, and you have, and you have, I think, a higher ceiling going into it. And maybe you're thinking Brendan Rodgers can come in and elevate that ceiling at Tottenham even higher. I don't know what he would do though, and I wonder how much pride would play into this to be able to say, I'm going to stay here and I am going to rebuild this team from this aging core that is performing well. We're going to get young. We're going to bring guys in, and I'm going to build this up, and I'm going to put my name down in Obsidian as managers that need to have respect put on their name from this era. I don't know how much pride plays into that you're willing to do that. But if he decided to stay and he took Leicester and he decided to ride this out with them, take it apart and rebuild it and not lose much of a step, that would be tempting from a pride perspective, especially when I look at a guy who I could say, this guy was at Liverpool, wasn't ever really terrible at Liverpool.
No, nearly won a title.
Got fired. Went a whole season without losing a game in Scotland, which take that for what it is worth, but still, even still, and I will die on this hill that I don't care what league you're in. If you go 30 plus games without losing a game, that's obscene, because at some point luck should have broken against you horrifically. But then you go down to Leicester and you take this team and build it into what it is now. I mean, you already deserve an obscene amount of credit for being a really great manager. But if you see it through building it up and then, take it apart and rebuild it if needed and get it younger and still be competitive as teams are changing constantly, I mean, it'd be real tempting to see that out.
People liked your Obsidian reference, Jared. Good job.
You're welcome. Thank you. I'm happy that I could comply.
Here's the thing that Leicester fans are going to have to answer for me, because they're a tough club to gauge now at this. So you've got a title, you had a fall, you're back, you're going to be in Champions League next year, I believe. But you look at what they're working with, and we're talking assets. Like if you want to do the sell players to bring in money to get better players or get younger or whatever, are you going to be able to create a production line at Leicester? Do you have more players in the pipeline? I don't think so, but I don't know. Do you have ownership that is going to invest to make you a Champions League regular club, a Big Six club? Because, I mean, is Leicester part of the Big Six in place of Tottenham these days? On points they are. Are they in reality? I don't know that. Tottenham, on the other hand, you've got Harry Kane, you've got Son, both under contract for a decent while. Son's under contract through 23. There's talk about a new deal for him. They wanted to wait till they, I think, got through everything with COVID. I feel like Tottenham is in a better position to invest to get better. I don't know if Leicester is. They might be, and we just don't know because they haven't been in this spot. Tottenham can, but, and this is the challenge, they're not sitting on money. They're actually sitting on debts because of building the stadium, the training facility, all that stuff. Are they going to be forced into something to sell a Harry Kane, to sell Son? And then what do they do with that money? Does it just go to pay off debts, or does it reinvest in 3-4 young players that could transform you? Do they do what Liverpool did on the Coutinho move? Leicester doesn't have that option. They don't have that transformational sale. Tottenham does. But are they going to be able to take it? And is the money going to be there to sell Kane and Son and then invest it in a group that can go on a run? And would that be attractive to Brendan Rodgers? I know I just threw like a million questions out because I don't know. This is a really interesting conundrum for Rodgers, for Spurs, for what the power section at the top of the Premier League could be. Because Leicester could become part of that potentially if they handle things correctly. Tottenham had the opportunity to, and maybe they missed their window, but they've got another window that could be opened if they sell Harry Kane and Son. Do they invest it properly? I don't know. Jason Nix, when I said Leicester can't do that now, I don't think there's a Maguire player, a Chilwell player on this team now that they could sell that way. So they kind of are who they are. Is the ownership going to invest to secure Champions League play on the regular? Tottenham has the money or has the ability to sell players to reinvest it, but will they? Both sides have questions, and I don't know if there's a clear answer.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then Tomer throws another log on the fire. Where would you put Arsenal in that conversation?
Man.
Oh, I got to look at Arsenal real quick in this regard because I don't know.
Do I have to?
I would think, and this is a gut feeling. So Arsenal is further after their stadium build. You know, I mean, we know, and Arsene Wenger has said it, they had to be very smart financially. I would hope they got most of the way through that before the pandemic, but they're not a big spending club. They were trying to do partial payments and layaway on, I think, Sabitzer, and we'll see if they can still try to get him. Do they have a lot of players they could sell in this group and make big money on? Not really. I mean, Aubameyang is valued at $44 million. They signed him to a new deal. Could you sell him for $40 million? Probably. Not a whole lot more. If I had to rank the jobs in terms of attractiveness, let's say that you are the greatest manager to come out of the United States in the history of the game, Jarrett Smith, and these are the three clubs that give you an envelope with a job offer, and the amount of money they would pay you is the same, but you are picking which club you're going to go to based off which club you think you will have the best success at. Do you go to Leicester? Do you go to Arsenal? Do you go to Tottenham?
As it sits right now, it might be Tottenham.
Okay. Why?
Because of a lot of stuff you mentioned. I mean, you have pieces that are in their prime that you could, if you decide you need to kind of break it down, you've got pieces you can use to pull in a good chunk of money and reinvest with. Clubs have shown you that even in COVID times, they're willing to spend stupid amounts of money in the right situation. And you've got a couple guys who I think, Son especially, you could drop him out there and someone's going to get stupid over the money. You got the new stadium. You're going to have good facilities. My only pause with them is just having an owner who's that involved.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this comes from also this weird feeling about other managers and other sports feeling like I don't like having that owner who is always over the shoulder. I don't want to have an Al Davis around. I don't want to have, even a Ted Turner around. If you could imagine, I just imagined for a second Spurs owner jumping in the dugout for a game. That'd be amazing.
Daniel Levy goes full Serie B and is on the touchline.
Yeah, but I think they're in a good position. Arsenal, I think, is not a bad choice here, though. I don't think Arsenal's in as terrible shape as everyone wants to believe they're constantly in. And maybe I'm wrong. I feel like the doom and gloom that hangs over Arsenal and is manufactured over Arsenal is almost become its own meme at this point.
It's funny to see this question come up and the comments in the Twitch pitch from fans of one of the teams who are backing their club in this scenario, and also fans of teams who are not in this scenario who are maybe trying to trip people up. It's quite entertaining. Arsenal feels like possibly the more stable of the three in that you kind of know what you're getting into. You've got young talent. You've got some potentially really good young talent, like Saka, for example. Tierney's 23. I mean, you've got some good pieces. You've got some even younger pieces who are just starting to break through. You've got more of a player production line at Arsenal. Tottenham hasn't really done that consistently enough. I don't think Leicester has done that either. Leicester does a good job of getting players from smaller clubs, bringing them through, boosting them up, and then selling them. I feel like you would have the best stable success at Arsenal. I feel like Tottenham could be the biggest game changer because you could swing really big if you say in your pitch, I want to sell Harry Kane, I want to sell Son this time. Everybody's going nuts about trying to throw offers at Haaland. Everybody's going nuts about Mbappe. I want to sell these two guys, and I want to take that money and invest it for a project for the next 5-6 years of Tottenham becoming a true Champions League club year in, year out. That's the biggest play. Biggest risk? Potentially the biggest reward. I think it's the biggest reward out of these three. I think Leicester is the one that is the lesser of the three. Not by a lot, but the lesser of the three in that I think the ceiling's lower. It's an interesting situation. I'm not convinced.
They feel.
Go ahead.
It feels like, to cross sports, it feels more like a Mississippi State or a Georgia Tech, places we've seen have some success. So Georgia Tech would be better, because they've won a title. But it feels like a place like that. Like you can have success there. But as you have success, know that the people around you and the teams around you that are chasing you and that you're chasing a lot of times are going to have a bigger pocketbook. They're going to potentially have more weapons, and they can potentially outgun you at any moment. Your success is going to be predicated on everything you do before, during, and after the games. Whereas there are times when you play one of these big six teams where they can just raw power through the brick wall. You can put up a wall and they'll just push through it.
So what you're saying
might not
is
have that luxury.
Leicester should go get the English football equivalent of Hugh Freeze and somehow cheat their way to being relevant for a little while.
You don't have the same restrictions you do in college football, so
You don't want to tap people up, so they might open up. They might go open up that McDonald's in the drive-thru and hand out bags of cash. We'll see how that goes. Maybe this is going to be interesting. If Tottenham really does become a job in play, it could get really, really interesting. We'll keep you posted on all that. I want to hit on some other things before we wrap up today.
Okay,
PSG.
Can I ask you one question?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
What happens to Jose? What does he do?
He waits to take over the Portugal job.
Ooh.
He's said he will manage Portugal. If he goes the way it's gone for him over his last few stops, I don't know who else is going to hire him. He's not going to go to a step further down. And I'm not knocking Tottenham in that, but Tottenham was a club that 5 years ago even you didn't see Jose Mourinho at. I don't think he goes, if Brendan Rodgers goes to Tottenham, I don't think Jose goes to Leicester, for example. You know what I mean? I don't know where else he would go at the club level. Could there be a big club that says, you know what, we're desperate, let's do it? It could happen if things fall into place. But I think he waits it out, and I think his next job would be Portugal. Does he come to MLS? Does he go to New York City? Wow, Coco, you're trying to break the whole conundrum right there. I like it.
MLS wouldn't know what to do with.
No, he wouldn't want to deal with. He wouldn't want to deal with the craziness in MLS. I don't think. I think if Jose came to the United States, it would be to manage the U.S. national team. I think he's going to go into national team football.
That would somehow be even better.
I'd be okay with it. In the national team situation,
that would be amazing.
Yeah, I think he'd be fine. I'm not worried about style of play as much at that level. So if he's there and he's winning games and getting you into knockout games and World Cups, yeah, I could deal with that. But I like where we are with the national team right now. I've come around on Greg Berhalter. It's time for everybody to give Greg a chance. I think Jose goes to Portugal next. That's my other bold prediction of the day. All right, stuff that is left on the board to talk about before we are done. Let's go to France real quick. If I told you, Jarrett, that when Mauricio Pochettino was hired, through 9 matches, he would have the lowest point total of a PSG coach in the Qatari era, would you have expected that to happen?
No, I'd be a little flummoxed, to be honest.
I think Maurizio's a little flummoxed. Even after the great result in Champions League, he's got to be flummoxed. They're not in a good place. 19 points out of 9 games. They lost to Monaco 2-0. They didn't look good. They didn't look convincing. Lille is at the top of Ligue 1 with 58 points. They won on the weekend. Lyon won on the weekend on 55. PSG is on 54. They're 4 points back. Monaco is now 6 points off the top on 52. Lens is the one that drops all the way back in 5th to 40. Remember, only 3 teams get into Champions League next year out of France as well. PSG only has a 2-point cushion on Monaco, who just beat them, to get into the Champions League. It might be a short run for Poch. Maybe. I didn't see that one coming.
I feel like you got to give him a little more time. I mean, I know it's PSG. I know it's you're treating this like a Brazilian job giving to an Argentine coach. But,
yep,
man, do you pull the trigger that fast?
If Champions League football becomes a risk, yeah, you do.
What if he continues to fall on his face in domestic, but gets you through Champions League into quarterfinals, semifinals? Like,
that's going to be a tough balancing act, because if you win Champions League, you come back. But what if you go into a semifinal of the Champions League, but you're in 4th in Ligue 1, and you're looking at the Europa League for next year? Whoa!
I got heartburn just thinking about it.
I know it's.
I don't even care about PSG. It gave me heartburn.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun one to watch. Another potential fun one to watch. You mentioned Brazil, Marseille. This has been bubbling up. We talked about it a while back, and now it's looking like it's going to happen. Fabrizio Romano's reported at RMC Sport. TIC. Jorge Sampaoli leaving Atlético Mineiro in Brazil, where he got sent off yesterday, to go to Marseille. And he could be there by the first week in March. John is back.
He is.
Whoa, John is yelling, too. Can you talk at a normal volume, John?
Sure.
There you go. Thank you. Welcome back.
Good to be back. I was listening on the entire drive, and so you went through a lot of topics that are of interest, and so I can hang on to a lot of my opinions for soccer over there tonight.
I've basically done a long tease of soccer over there because we'll get deeper into this stuff. The one thing that was interesting on Marseille before we wrap here, they were turned down allegedly, and this is according to RMC Sport in France. They were turned down by Ernesto Valverde, Maurizio Sarri, Rafa Benitez, and a handful of other coaches. So Sampaoli is number 5, 6 on the list, and he's going to leave.
This is assuming
Brazil.
Sampaoli will just roll in there with a knife between his teeth and is willing to fight hand-to-hand with all of the fans.
I have to say, if you've seen the fans, he might have to. That's kind of where it stands. It's not good. Things got weird in Brazil this weekend.
How weird were they?
Inter and Milan was not the only 1-2 matchup. Flamengo and Internacional was the matchup at 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon in Brazil. Internacional went in leading the league. They come out in second. Flamengo wins, and this is the same club that fired Dome Tarrant earlier in the year. Rodrigo Ceni went all over the map with his early results. They got it together. They did go out in Libertadores, but they got it together. They come back yesterday and win this match. They went down 1-0. They win 2-1. Gabigol with the winner for Flamengo. It's not done yet. Thursday is the last round of matches in Brazil. Inter hosts Corinthians. Flamengo is away to Sao Paulo. New manager Hernan Crespo's Sao Paulo. Inter has not won a Brazilian title in 41 years, and they've watched it slip away from them in the next to last week. They still have a chance, but and just to show you how crazy this thing was, Rodinei, who was the left back for Internacional. He was on loan from Flamengo. There was a payment that had to be made as part of the loan agreement to Flamengo for the player to be able to play against his parent club. Internacional was like, we're not paying that. A supporter of the club paid it.
Yeah.
6 figures. So he could play.
Grand.
180 grand for him to be able to play in this game. They pay it. Starts out really good. His cross set up the opening goal. That investment looked really bad when his mistake set up the equalizer for Flamengo. That investment looked even worse in the 49th minute when he got sent off. 180 grand for one good, 2 bad, and ultimately a loss. Oh, Brazil's madness. Madness. Thursday, Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. I did that while you were gone, John, by the way.
I did it in the car
gimmick
while I was driving, and you did it previously.
I assumed. Those games will be on Fanatis with the Brasileiro pack. It will probably be worth the extra $7.99. That's a $7.99 a month investment on the Brasileiro pack. It would be worth it for that day by itself. I was looking to see if all the game times are set up yet. They are all at 7:30. 7:30 our time. There might be some Brazilian watch-along for that because it could get bonkers. All the games at the same time. Sao Paulo hosting Flamengo, Inter hosting Corinthians. You've got some spots that are going to be up for grabs with getting into the Libertadores as well. That could be a lot of fun. Last two before we go.
Well, I've got breaking news unless one of these is your one of your last
Well,
two.
if you've got breaking news right now, then break it. Break it.
Rob Harris of the AP. Up to 10,000 fans will be allowed back into English stadia in Step 3 of the easing of England's coronavirus restrictions, which is planned for May 17 at the earliest, in time for the final day of the Premier League season on May 23rd. Stadia with 40,000 seats will be allowed 10,000 fans, and smaller ones allowed to be at one-quarter capacity from May 17 at the earliest under government plans. Harris continues, the government says in England it will run, quote, a series of pilots using enhanced testing approaches and other measures to run events with larger crowd sizes and reduced social distancing. To evaluate the outcomes, the pilots will start in April. This is a boost to England's hosting of the Euros game at Wembley, with June 21st earmarked by the government as the earliest date to lift limits on all social contact and restrictions on stadium capacities.
Starting to edge back into that. I know there's been some talk in Italy about it as well, trying to get this process started. I believe there was actually really good news over the weekend on the vaccine rollout in the UK. I think they have surpassed expectations, so hopefully that is a good sign for the rest of the world as well. So keep an eye on that. Liga MX is fun. Sometimes it's not. Saturday it was. You had a couple really weird things happen in a few hours. You had a referee save a shot. It happened in the Cruz Azul Toluca match. So Cruz Azul was up 2-0. They were about to get it to 3. Shot beats everybody. The referee, for some reason, is running into the 18 and deflects the shot that is going on goal on an empty goal, and all he can do is award a drop ball. Toluca then had a comeback and got it to 2-2, and Cruz Azul would have rioted. They didn't have to. They won 3-2 as they should have. But, man, I didn't think that could be topped. Club America did. You had a really bad, I thought it was a bad tackle that got a red card for Atlas.
Yep.
Then you had another tackle that was a dicey one in terms of making the call, but I think ultimately it was a penalty and was the correct call. Penalty given to Club America. They go full Ajax Johan Cruyff. They go full Barcelona with Messi, and it's the pass from the penalty spot to somebody running in. Cordova and Martin pulled this off. Messi and Suarez did it in 2016. Santiago Solari said the move was unorthodox, but it's part of soccer. They're talented guys. They executed it like that, and we scored. I'm surprised there wasn't a brawl afterwards.
Mm-hmm. No doubt.
Atlas did not look very happy about this. That was a fun few hours in Mexico with just complete and utter madness.
And if you haven't seen the Memo Ochoa save to prevent the own goal, look that up too.
That's a good one. And Santiago Solari almost got in some trouble. He dressed Federico Viñas. He was not on the lineup sheet. He participated in pre-match warm-ups, appeared on the bench. He wasn't on the lineup sheet. Then they sent him to a box to watch the second half to avoid confusion. They could get sanctioned for this. Welcome to Mexico.
Salute.
You got a match tonight in Mexico. Pachuca hosting Chivas, 10 o'clock, ESPN Deportes. Pachuca's bad. They've lost 4 in a row. They have not won in the Clausura.
I think they're the only team that hasn't won in the Clausura.
Chivas drew 2-2 last week with Necaxa. The last 2 times these two teams played were scoreless draws. You might want to skip that one on ESPN Deportes, possibly, unless you get weird stuff.
Juice boxes have Pachuca at a plus 115. Your draw is a plus 225, and Chivas a plus 250.
Give me the draw. Give me the draw. In Argentina, you had wins from Boca and River. You got a bunch of games today in Argentina. Boca did not look good again, but they won 1-0 in Rosario against Newell's. Carlos Tevez returned to Buenos Aires before the match. His father passed away. He'd been very sick at the end of the previous Copa Diego Armando Maradona. The club obviously dedicated the win to Tevez, Carlitos. River won in a match that we did a watch-along for on the Twitch. That was a lot of fun. Thanks to everybody who hung out. I didn't think River looked all that great. They won convincingly, but I didn't think they looked good in it. They get a big win. They needed it. The story in Argentina this weekend, there were 2. Club Atlético Atlanta in the Copa Argentina lost on penalties to a team, Villa San Carlos. Villa San Carlos, during an earlier game on TIC, they did like I don't know if it was a Twitter poll or if it was a call-in poll or what, but they did a poll on who was going to win the Copa Argentina. Villa San Carlos is a tiny little team. They were voted by the fans as the team that was most likely to win the tournament. So the people, like the pundits, were all losing their minds, like laughing and going crazy with it. So they won on penalties over Club Atlético Atlanta. So their dream continues. In the top flight, Platense won in their first match back. They beat Argentinos Juniors 1-0 on the road. New team to follow, and we like the mascots and things in South American teams. El Calamar, the squid.
That's what I thought, yeah.
The squid Platense. They get the win at Argentinos. You had Manta in Ecuador nearly beat the defending champions Barcelona. They had a 2-1 lead. I think they had a 1-0 lead and a 2-1 lead, and Barcelona came back and scored 2 late to beat the tuna fishermen of Manta. Copa Libertadores is back with the small teams in the qualifiers tomorrow, too, which is going to be fun because you got some teams that I had to look up to see where they were from because I'd never heard of these clubs before. This is going to be
awesome.
Good. This is going to be really good.
Awesome.
That's going to do it for us this morning. Thank you for helping with the audio engineering. Thank you for helping with all of figuring all the stuff out as we went. I think we've got it all sorted, so we won't have these technical issues tomorrow or tonight with soccer over there. 7 o'clock. Nick Alifi will join us. Jarrett Smith might parachute in again. He's known to do this from time to time, correct?
It happens. You can't predict it.
It does. I got Coco talking trash to me about Lanús beating Defensa. I skipped that for a reason, Coco. Thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. I like that we're getting trash talking about Argentine teams now in the SDH universe.
Awesome.
Who's going to claim El Calamar? We'll see. Soccer over there tonight, 7 o'clock. Twitch pitch, twitch.tv/soccer down here. Also on the Soccer Down Here app, which you can download for free on Android or iOS. You can listen to it at soccerdownhere.net as well. You can wait, and it'll come out on your favorite pod catcher. Thank you, John, for showing the app.
What we're here for.
Yes. If you have not signed up yet, tomorrow night is soccer trivia for Soccer in the Streets. Jillian Sakovitz is one of our quiz masters along with me on this one. I can't wait to see what questions Jillian's come up with. I have not seen them as of yet. So that is tomorrow. All you got to do is make a donation to Soccer in the Streets to be part of it. And coming up in March, our first brewery tour stop of 2021, about 3 weeks away, is coming. And it is with our friends at Wild Heaven at the West End. I'm looking forward to it. It will be socially distanced. There will be components people can watch on Twitch, first off. We will be doing some contests for the people watching from home. Hopefully, you'll be able to join us as well, potentially, if you're comfortable with that. They've done a number of events for a number of different clients over the last few months. The guys at the West End location are great. It's a huge space, too, as you know, if you've been there. So there's a lot of room to make this work. But we're getting everything underway. We've got a lot of exciting things coming with that this year. So stay tuned to SDH as we continue to find ways to grow. The last thing I did not get to, and I hope you're still with us, Jarrett, although I think you hate 80s music. 1981 is the year today. 1981, on this date, Diego Maradona made his debut for Boca Juniors. It scored 2 goals in his debut. I mean, of course, it's Diego. Are you surprised? Against
there are some
Talleres.
things about the 80s that are okay.
Is the number one song this week in the United States in 1981 okay, Jarrett? It was 9-5 by Dolly Parton.
Dolly is a saint, so yes. Dolly's also one of the nicest human beings alive.
Yes, and that was why I picked 1981 as the year. So what I am going to ask is everybody out there listening, whether it is now or later as a podcast edition, what is your favorite song released in 1981? So, Jarrett, you might have to do some research. This is right in John's wheelhouse. I don't know what concerts he was seeing in 1981. I know, Jarrett. But you've listened to old music before. You're going to have to answer the question.
It's true. I can just hear John hitting his keyboard like a miner.
John got excited. I was 4 years old in 1981. I was listening to Sesame Street. Schoolhouse Rock now.
I was 7 years from being born, so
yeah, you have nothing. But you have went back and listened to older things. So there you go. We will give you a tease of the first one, Sean Vergara, "Start Me Up" by the Rolling Stones. That was a 1981 song.
Yeah, see, and when you think of 81,
I was trying to get out, and now John's going to go for an hour.
Pretty much.
No, you're not.
You had the Kim Carnes album. You had "Ghost in the Machine" from the Police. You had "The Greatest American Hero," Billy Squier.
That might be my favorite song from 81, "The Greatest American Hero" theme.
Believe It or Not by Joey Scarberry.
Yes.
You had ELO with theirs. Rick James' Super Freak was 81. Let's see what else. Oh, Greg Kihn, Phil Collins. Arthur was released in 81, so then you had the Christopher Cross song from there. The Go-Go's album came out in 81, and then Our Lips Are Sealed, and the rest of that album was there. Let's see. Styx, Too Much Time on My Hands.
Oh, jeez,
wow.
Terrible.
This was a great year for music.
Okay, you're going to have to pick. I'll give you 5 songs, John. You get the 5-song EP from 1981 that you get to do. So you're not doing it right now. You're going to do this. You can think about it. You can observe. You can go back and listen to things. You can research. You're going to tweet that out because we're going to get John Twitter engagement. That's what's going to happen. So 1981, the EP
1981.
From John. Jarrett, you just got to come up with at least a couple songs. I'll have an EP of songs because I like doing that.
Oh, Moving Pictures came out in 81. Okay.
I'm going to have to mute John in a second. You're going to tweet these at us, at Soccer Down Here, your favorite songs from 1981. Other things on this day? Go ahead. Go ahead, Jarrett. Quick.
I can give you Difficult to Cure came out in 81, which is an album by Rainbow, which is the predecessor to Dio.
Good call.
Yes.
Good call. Okay, other things on this day. Thank you, Patrick Sullivan, for 1912. The Atlanta Soccer Football Club. I think that they were still the Soccer Football Club. I think they were still going by those names. It became the Atlanta Football Club, the Atlanta Soccer Club. It bounced around names because we didn't know what to call the sport in 1912. They defeated a team from Chattanooga 4-0 in Chattanooga at Chamberlain Field in one of the first intercity, intersectional games in the Southeast played in this sport, which is very cool. 1989, there was a travesty on this day in music. Heavy metal was included in the Grammys as a category for the first time.
Oh, this was so bad.
Metallica's And Justice for All was nominated, as should have been the winner. Jethro Tull won the first heavy metal Grammy. Jethro Tull. Heavy metal. Yes. I believe that is what started all kinds of bad things happening in music. I blame Jethro Tull. Totally.
Yes.
Birthdays in soccer as we go. Timothy Weah is 21 years old. Brian Laudrup, one of the all-time greats, 52. And the CONCACAF Champions League winning manager, Tuca Ferretti, is 67 years old today. Pan flute is not metal, Mazzano. I am totally with you.
No.
All right, we're done for the day. We'll be back at we're done for the afternoon anyway. We will be back at 7 o'clock for soccer over there. Y'all have a good afternoon. Tweet us your 1981 EPs of music, and we'll talk to you in a bit. Mucho platio.
Mucho platio.
Mucho platio.